Tack så mycket. Axel bra. En applaus för ledaren i herreklassen. Nu ska vi se om vi inte kan få med oss
Hello and welcome then to this first round of the World Cup 2023 coming from Østfold in Norway. In fact, we're only about 10 kilometers south of where the World Championships was 4 years ago. And over the next 4 hours, we've got two fantastic long distance races that we're going to show to you that have already been running. And we're going to focus on those last starters as they make their way around this very challenging course. It's been very, very wet and rainy here in Norway the last few days over the weekend. In fact, a bit of bridges were wiped out have seemed to be doing.
I lose Katherine every now and then.
A longer test. It's going to match up to be eventually to be the same winning time as the men's, and of course looking for our last starters to do see what they can do to really be able to test this course and get the most from this fantastic area. Of course, very, very familiar for those who ran only 10 kilometers away in those World Championships 4 years ago. So it's 12 kilometers then for the women's course today. And we can have a look then at the course now and the course map.
Yeah, for everyone who remembers the World Championships 2019, it's quite similar, and it's something you would expect from Norwegian terrain, also course-like. So we start with this first control, and then it's the first route choice to the second control. I think we'll take a closer look to that later on. The second longer route choice from 4 to 5, it's an interesting one because you have different options how to navigate around that hill in the middle. 5, 6, it's kind of a change in terrain here. It's a bit more open. You see that you're coming from these cotton areas, from some green parts as well, and then here it's mostly white in the forest. We get close to the arena at control 13 where we have the arena passage, and then we go out on the second loop. 14, 15, a longer leg again, not that much of a route choice, but it's still a long control where you have to navigate with good precision, of course. Control 18, second TV control. Then we get over this cotton area, very end of the course, 1920, another route choice there because you can go down and follow the path, or you can stay up there and then back to the arena. So very typical Scandinavian long distance where you have shorter legs, of course, mixed with longer legs, and you kind of have countless options on the route choices. I mean, you have like 2 or 3 basic lines where you can go, and then you have these countless options in micro route choices.
Yeah, I think we're going to have a little look at some of the route choices as well. We've already seen from the GPS tracking people taking lots of different routes as they go around and as they're trying to figure out where are the faster bits. But let's have a look and then in more detail at kind of this first route choice leg, 1 to 2.
And you can see, I mean, basically, I think we will see 2 different routes being executed by the runners. It's the blue and the red one. I have actually a few times already, and as it is by now, of course, it will develop under as further we get. I mean, different runners have different strength, but as it is now in the women's class, it's almost exactly this, as fast to go on the red as on the blue. Sandra Grossberga did the red one, and she was only 3 seconds slower compared to Maja Sianoja, the fastest on this straight, the yellow route that we see right in the picture here.
But this view here, as we follow the runner, kind of gives you an idea of what the terrain is like. You can see here picking up some of where it's shorter vegetation, some of that bare rock on the top of the hill. Will the runners be trying to pick out some good lines in the terrain as well?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's always, I mean, often it's very good to aim on the top of the hills where you get this bare rock you can run on. that is a bit fast, but sometimes, I mean, you saw it. It looks very easy. It looks very fast, but it's tough to run in this in 90 minutes. So that makes this route choice around maybe even better if it's about the same. If it's about the same time-wise, then it's definitely a good option to go around there. This is control 4. Yeah, sorry.
Here we seem to see maybe more people going out on the blue route, but then it's about how you cut round on that hill.
Yeah, and we have even seen one, Marianne Andersson, she was going all the way around, but she lost some time. So I think this is the option here. And then, of course, you have micro route choices on this one. Where do you go up the hill? But basically, I think most of the runners will execute this blue option here. And then this is control 14, 15. I said it before. For me, it's not very much of a route choice. I think it looks very fast. It looks like there are tracks. When you go straight, blue is the one option I would go for, and I think it will be the fastest.
Yeah, well, and then of course there's a lot of those shorter routes as well. You know, I think it seems to be a straight is great for a lot of this, and I can almost imagine we'll see Natalia Gempler brandishing her compass at the end of the end of the course, as we often see from her, to be honest. But I really think she will be showing that off as just to show that how much she's had to use it. But who are our favourites then? Who are the people we're looking for?
Well, I mean, we have the names in the end of the start list that always are the kind of the favorites. Tove Alexandersson had a great start into the season. She won both test races, which were in Norway from the Norwegian Federation. She won also the Swiss long test race. Simona Aebersold, of course, one of the favorite. We have the comeback of Natalia Gempler, will be interesting now in new colors. Sara Hagström was quite strong during the preparation, and Karo Olsson was really, really good at the Swedish League races in Sweden. So these are definitely names we have to have on our list.
Yeah, there's a few, runners who've got kind of maybe worse world rankings. It's starting list is done in world ranking order, although they've made sure that no two runners from the same nation are starting next to each other. Anyone kind of earlier on in the list who we might be looking to see do well?
I mean, someone who had a good run, for example, the old star Marianne Andersson had a very good performance. Anu Tuomisto from Finland. Quite a strong name in the beginning. I mean, there are names, of course, and it's early in the season. We have some Finnish runners, Maja Sijanoja, and I mean, there are many names, but I would, if we talk about favorites, I would still go for the last starters here, maybe the last 15.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what a surprise to see Marianne Andersson, leading this route, leading this course at the moment. Any indication as to kind of, I guess it was a surprise to see her even make the team. I
mean, yeah, the world is changing, but Marianne Andersson is changing in elite orienteering. Yeah, of course it's a surprise. I mean, she's 42 years old, 43 even. But it's great to see. I mean, she was really good at the Norwegian test races, and that's something she's really good at, this Scandinavian long distances, when you never really get the time to calm down. You have to be focused all the way. You have to do the work. As I said before, it's all about like these micro route choices, about executing and finding the small tracks in between, and that's something she's really good at.
This is a picture then from a little bit earlier. Ven Lahayu, the new European long distance champion, and she's been making her way then out into the terrain. Let's have a look then at some of the quick runners towards our first radio control and how they managed to take that route choice.
And here you can see Tuomisto is going straight. You can see that she followed this open field there. I guess it's quite fast. But you can also see that the runners around, of course, it's a good choice to go there because you can save energy. But fastest time here is not in the picture, Maja Sijanoja, and she was going straight as well. So we have to be a little bit careful with this. But it's definitely a good option, and when we think about that it is a real long distance here, then it's a good thing to save energy. We saw also here to control 5 that You can go all around there. Marianne Andersen did that as well. It's about a minute slower, so I don't think we will see too many of the runners doing that. But you could feel that Sandra Grossberger has the tactics to use the roads and the paths whenever she gets the chance to.
Yeah, but she went all the way around there. You could really clearly see her kind of dropping back. Here's Andrea Svensson, one of a huge Swedish team who've travelled just over the border into Norway. But here we're on the lookout then for Victoria Hestad Björnstad. But she has dropped good amount of time there. So this is our... You can kind of see that she'd have been looking at those banners, right? And you can see where there's the advertising. The control's going to be around somewhere. Maybe disappointing start for Victoria Hestad Björnstad. Let's go back then to the start. Here is Hanna Lundberg, and she, of course, took that surprise World Cup win in Idre a couple of years ago. But this is now her first year as an actual senior, having won both the Forest races at the Junior World Champs. That delayed Junior World Champs in Portugal in the autumn. She, I think, has been struggling with a bit of a foot tendon injury this winter. Been doing a lot of skiing and stuff as well, so she will now be ready to see what she can do on actually in the Forest as a senior, and having her whole focus, I think, on that. On actually running as a senior. Every season we've seen her so far, her main priority for the season has been the Junior World Championships. She's not run as many races in things like the World Championships or the World Cups, understandably, but I think it's going to be exciting to see her really have this as the main priority.
And she's doing a lot. She's still doing focusing on skiing as well during the winter, cross-country skiing. It will be interesting to see. So far she was able to handle this two sports beside each other pretty well. Of course, it makes it more difficult regarding the planning of your shape. You have to be in shape twice. You have to be in shape in winter as well. It's hard to do the build-up, but I think so far she managed pretty good to combine those two sports.
Hanneke Simonsen is very happy, finishing there for Denmark. You can tell she felt like that was a good one for her, and of course heading into 5th place then, 6 minutes 29 seconds behind the leader Anu Tuomisto. Maria Olausen then is the second to last Norwegian who will head out into the terrain. You can really see how she's looking ahead towards the start triangle there, and can pick up her map and get going. What kind of preparation will these athletes have done in terms of thinking about the terrain and what they know about the courses and what to expect?
There was this test race from the Norwegian Federation. We have seen many of the runners preparing there. Even teams from Finland and Denmark had their test races in Norway. So I think quite a big amount of the runners have been up there and preparing there. At the same time, we had the World Championships 2019 in this kind of terrain, so many of the runners have been training for that specifically. I don't think they will have, prepared all winter just for this World Cup round, but of course, it's kind of a familiar terrain, and it's very typical Scandinavian terrain, so most of the Swedish runners, the Norwegian runners, the Finnish runners, they're quite used to this kind of task here anyway, so they didn't have to do that much of a specific preparation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of the time and a lot of the energy will be going towards preparation for the Swiss World Championships. We've seen a lot of teams doing kind of altitude training, hill training particularly. But that was Mia Nittinen there. We can see her having just gone through that control number 8. It's a little bit different part of the map there, but you can see just how far Anu Tuomisto is ahead at that point.
And you can also see that it's something I mentioned before. It's straight is almost always an option. You could see the route choices there, and they're almost yeah, every time very close to the red line. But then you have to kind of dance around the features there to find the fastest ways, and that's the challenge here.
Yeah, it's finding those really small route choices. That's what Sarah Hagström will have to do. Fourth in the long distance at the European Champs last year. That really tricky and technical race in Estonia. So we'll see what she's able to do. Hasn't run a whole load more. Now here's an interesting runner. Tone Bergerudlia could be one to watch out for some great things.
She was 6th in the Norwegian long test, but she was also 2nd in their middle test race, so she proved that she's in good shape quite early, but here she lost some time in the beginning.
Yeah, certainly has. Over 3 minutes now, as you can see her just hone in towards this control. Top 10 European middle distance champs. But yeah, only just inside the top 20 at the moment, with still a whole load more runners to come. But pretty good flow there, as you can see her disappear off down the slope. And very, very soon we will have had all of our runners out then in the terrain. Let's check back in. We're live with Sabina Hausfrit here on the purple. This was her start a few minutes ago. A very, very consistent runner. Had a bit of a problem, I think, with shin splints in February after returning from training camp in Kenya. So hopefully she's managed to get some good recovery from that. Maybe after ploughing the roads in Kenya. Let's have another look at how she managed to get to that point.
I mean,
Marika Taney looked very good so far.
It's not very unexpected that she is going around there. I think it's, I mean, it's quite a Swiss route, if to call it like this, or any other runner from the continent. I mean, in continental terrain, it's like the first reaction when you look at the map is always to find kind of lines that lead you towards the control. It could be streets or paths or like areas where the runnability is a little bit better. So it's not very surprising for me that this option is very tempting for a runner from the continent.
Do you think they'll have had a look then at that first bit of, the terrain and what it was like underfoot to control number one, and then gone, oh, maybe this is the best time to be going, going around on that track as we look at Lisa Risby here?
I mean, of course, you try to prepare to the first control, but at the same time you have to be very careful. I mean, the first control is it's going out into the white. You don't have too many features. You have to be careful. You want to adapt to the map, so you don't have too much time anyway to plan. But of course, I mean, you check the route choice coming, and if you see something that suits you, I mean, of course you can go for it. And we have seen from the times earlier that it's actually a good option, and especially in a long distance, it's very, very good to get time on the roads and paths in order to save some energy for later.
So we saw from the tracking that Marika Taney looked like she was having a great run, and it looks like it continues now as then we catch her into control number 11. It looks like this will be a clear new leading time ahead of Tuomisto, her teammates. So really fantastic running from Marika Taney. It looks like this must be Paula Gross, who she's caught up by those 3 minutes as well. So already will have great feedback, and she is. She's literally leading the way there. So it's just really great to see she's taking the attack and really kind of stretching that lead, I think.
I can see it here, and you can see how straight she's going on this control here compared to Grossberg. And that's, I mean, I mentioned that before. Grossberg, it's very obvious that she is looking for those lines that help her to navigate, and you can see if you compare to Taney, she's just glued to the compass, she's glued to the line and trying to attack the controls on the shortest possible way.
Yeah, and she looks so strong through the terrain there as well. Okay, then back at the start, and well, it's the first time we've seen Natalia Gempler in a Swiss top. Former runner from Russia, she obviously was unable to compete for the whole of last season after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and all Russian athletes were banned for competing in orienteering. Because she'd already competed for Russia in 2022, it's taken the whole year. She's had to have the whole year out before she's managed to change to represent Switzerland. You know, she's married to a Swiss man. She's got a daughter. She lives in Switzerland. Why she's managed to change nations here. And you can see she's gone a very, very direct route. Wally's hugging that field there. So it's going to be without having a season, we've not seen Natalia Gempler at all. It's going to be really interesting to see how her running manages to stack up with everybody else after having that whole season not competing internationally. And yeah, it's going to be exciting to see such a great orienteer back competing, I think.
And here you can see that she decided to go straight. Maybe not the biggest surprise, as you mentioned before. She's a runner that likes to go the shortest possible way, but I'm not really happy with the execution there in the very end. It seems that she loses a little bit of time going around, avoiding parts of a few meters to climb there, getting stuck a little bit.
Okay, so we can catch up Ingrid Lunden.
I don't have any pictures anymore. I just have the advertising and the like World Cup picture. But I hear the speaker in the background. It seems like the sound is okay, but I don't have the picture. Is Katherine in still? So now I have the picture back. Should I go on with commentating, or how are we doing? Okay. So here we have a short recap of the GPS. Anu Tomisto, Marianne Andersen and Sandra Grossberger coming to the arena.
Wisniewska, this is at 4.2 kilometers. Grossberger, but now, and your best time.
All of them going this straight option here. So very small differences in the micro route choices, but otherwise very similar. Small mistake by Grossberger just at control 50, then a small mistake from Tuomisto at control 17, but I mean no bigger problems there. But you can see that Marianne Andersen is very close here, and we know of course from the results that's the same in the finish. It's only 21 seconds between Anu Tuomisto and Marianne Andersen.
Training should be here soon. She has 50 minutes is now 52-32 for Tove. And Katherine is on a flyer so far in this race, even though she's just behind Hanna Lundberg at the opening speed.
And at the start now, we see Andrine Benjaminsen from Norway. Had a bit problems with sickness in the beginning of the year. And many days she was away from training, especially in January, February.
Mot mål. Han løper mot den femte, kanskje femteplass skal det bli. Men her kommer Katherine i hvitt og blått og leder for Finland. Katherine i 8. Vi tar ut Sanderacsen da, 258.
Some pictures from above where we see the runners in this semi-open area. Guess it's at control 21 towards control 22, and 22, that's the last control. So we are with Vendula Horčičková here. She is expected to be somewhere around position 10. You can see her there coming into this kart track now. So you can see she lost about 7 minutes on this course. The running time for the Tove from Finland, the leader, is almost exactly 90 minutes. So into 9th position.
Waiting for Trane Ødum and Wisniewska, who started at 77 and 76.
I think we also got Hanna Wisniewska to the finish just behind.
Horčičková number 9 at 1:37:13.
Yes, indeed. Into 5th position, Hanna Wisniewska, 4 minutes and 15 behind from Poland. And here at the start line, the Swiss runner Simona Abersold. So now it's the second last starter into this competition. Didn't have the very best start into the season, had an 11th place from the long test race in Switzerland and a 9th place from the middle distance test race. And I guess this is Caroline Olsson. Yes, indeed, towards the first control, and as I mentioned before, she had a great start into the season, taking both the wins in the middle and long distance at the Swedish League race a couple of weeks ago. But she's a little bit behind here in the beginning.
Norway at the first intermediate, sharing 5th with Paula Gross, 1:46 behind Hanna Lundberg, I should say, who is in the lead, but she's just now losing the lead. We have a double lead for Sweden. A new leader is Sara Hagström, bib number 98, with 1 minute 1 second. Det var en voldsom åpning på Sara Hagström. Her ser vi Teini og Olsson. Og Haljo har også tapt. Teini har åpnet sterkt. Men nå venter vi på svenskene her inne. Hanna Lundberg, Sara. sånn her inne, men hun har tatt litt, og vi venter på Elena Ros. Men det er litt for tidlig for Hanne Lundberg og Sara Hagstrøm. We are waiting for more information from Lundberg and Hagström. And of course the last starters with Alexandersson starting last. Halsvik, Risby, Hempele, Benjaminsen, Ebersol and Alexandersson. The last page is brutal in the ladies starting list. In the finish, we're waiting for 78 Mia Nittunen of Finland. She's on the way to the last control. And Mia Nittunen giving it all on the last meters. And she's just beating the Norwegians, and 6th place for the Finn. Nittunen kuudes. 4,5 minuuttia jäljessä. Tuomisto johtaa. Sianoja 4. ja Nittunen nyt. Bartosz Paula, Poland here, 1 hour, 1 minute and 6 is in 12th place. The Polish runner 4 minutes 20 behind the Oxford England.
Okay, apologies for some technical problems we had just there, but we are now back with you for commentary. And we can catch up here with Hannah Lundberg, who's making her way then towards control number 11. But you can see she's not quite as quick as Marika Taney. So it will be 1 minute and 11 seconds down for the young Swede. But still very, very early stages of this race.
And you could see the difference before, just in how precise Taney was in keeping the direction. Made a big difference when we saw them from 6th to 7th control.
Yeah, and you can see if you're making just small mistakes at every little control, here at 11 controls in, you know, it's going to add up to make something like that 1 minute and 11 seconds. But those are the standings so far. Marika Taney from Finland leading the way after 44 minutes of racing. We still have Annie Tuomisto is our leader at the finish. And I think soon we're going to see Sandra Grossberger at the finish as well.
And here we have some recap from this first longer route choice. We see that Marika Taney, Tove Alexandersson. We actually lost Alexandersson's GPS device there, but we can tell that she went all the way around. Good execution so far by Sara Hagström. That's really good. You can see the tail is a minute, so the gap between Abersold and Hagström was almost a minute already here. Small differences where they head up into the hill, and you can see the difference here between Abersold and the others, and I think she will lose time here, Abersold.
Yeah, I'm really surprised that anybody was going that way. I mean, we saw it as an option in the route choice analysis, but I would expect everybody to go straight through. And my goodness me, Sara Hagström is racing down this hill. I know it's downhill, but she had some good amount of speed and attack, I think, through here, and it's really paying off for her. So we will follow her then through to control number 11. This running cam, she just really quickly checks the more finite points of this orienteering, and it looks really, really good for her at the moment. Of course, always very nerve-wracking when you know you've got a running camera following you, and especially then when it stops following you because you know you're really close to the control. But this is really good direction here into this control. We've seen a few people going to the right of camera, but that looks really strong, and she has had a fantastic start to this race. Again, new leading time here, and it looked like it was pretty close to that time of Tove Alexandersson as well, who was our last starter.
Here's the comparison between Taney and Hagström. You see they run quite similar, but Hagström is just a little bit faster here. Every control here, Taney really good on the line. But still losing time on this one, going a bit more to the left in the end. It feels as if Hagström is really, really strong physically today.
Yeah, you could really see that in the way that she was attacking the course, and just through the terrain, the fact she went straight, she was the first one to make it to control number 2 was really, really incredible. But look at these drone shots we have over the finish. This is pretty incredible and fantastic here as we see Anna Dukkorn into the finish. Pretty much now a solid member of the Norwegian sprint relay team. And this is the Norwegian Royal go-karting track that we have in the middle of this forest that forms the arena here. It's pretty special place to finish this course, and it's going to be our arena for all 3 races. But Sandra Grossberger then into that 3rd place, just behind Marianne Andersson. So pretty good race for her. We saw her go all the way around the hill towards control number 5, I think, and maybe drop back a little bit of time towards the end, but pretty strong race for her. She should be really happy with that, I'm sure.
No, but I missed it. I went from the slope, and then
A very, very important part of orienteering, the debrief at the end. But let's catch up with Marika Taney towards split number 2. She's still got Paola Gross hot on her heels here. And it looks like she is still maintaining her quick pace and good attack. And this is a very, very, very distinctive part of the terrain on today's map.
And it's very, I mean, this is a very big change in kind of orienteering, because you can see that suddenly the visibility gets a bit lower. It's very demanding coordination-wise, and then you have to do navigation as well. And you come from this part before where you had to run quite fast to the 15th control. It was mostly about keeping direction, maybe not that many things in your way, and then you have to it slows you down very much when you come into these areas, and you have to be careful. But no problems here. You can see all the signs around the control. Of course, that's something that the runners see as well, but they don't really know where the control is located anyway.
No, in this bit there's lots of smaller hills as well, very kind of short ups and downs that kind of get hidden when you have that semi-open area as well. But let's have a little look. Oh, there was a mistake though.
Yeah, a small mistake at control 15, and you can see in this area here it's more open, the visibility is a little bit better, and you can really kind of feel it when you see these small green areas and then the Katherine area that, okay, down at control 16 it starts, the visibility gets to becomes lower, and it really affects how you have to navigate and how you do the orienteering.
Yes, so Van der Hayu there through the arena passage, European long distance champion. This is Hannah Lundberg as well, so has caught up Van der Hayu actually. And in fact, Hannah Lundberg is catching up time there. You can see she was like 2 minutes down, now back up to a minute and a half. And having caught the European long distance champion, this will give her actually a lot of good feedback.
I think she was more in front before because Sarah Hagström had passed that control. So she was more behind there and compared to the others then. When Sarah Hagström is coming to the arena, I think she will lose a little bit more time again.
Yeah, I think you're right there. Let's have a look though how those top runners have got on, and particularly when we look at Abersold here on this control 4 to 5.
Interesting to see the only one going there between the controls, but I don't think it's a good option.
So everybody says it's easy. What did you expect?
Well, in the few trainings I did here this week, the slopes were much
No,
tougher.
I think she's definitely lost some time there. I mean, it's a very kind of Swiss route, as you were saying, to look for those paths and everything, but you don't really gain enough. There are too many other good options, I think, that are that little bit shorter.
So let's see, and checking the split times here, try to find Abersold. She lost 2 minutes and 20 seconds on this route compared to the fastest runner. So definitely not a good choice.
But Anu Tuomisto then still sitting in that leader's chair. We can see that time, 90 minutes and 6 seconds then. That's the leading time currently. She's had a long old sit in that chair to wait to see who can be the first one to go quicker. But we've got Marika Taney, we've got people like Hannah Lundberg on their way around, and we can look now here at this arena passage.
Sarah Hagström coming here.
Yes, and surely she will go a new quickest time here. It's looking really, really good then for Hagström. And a lot of them are going to take, looks like she may take a gel here at this point, just to get that power through the next part of the course. Get some more energy going. You can see how much she's trying to read the map going through this. It's a very strange arena with this racetrack essentially. It's a go-karting track, and it's very unusual for orienteers to have to do this, but there she goes, able to kind of reset for the next part of the course. Take a look maybe towards some of the longer legs, maybe 14 to 15. But running all by herself here, she has made a really good job of this so far. See what she's able to do for the rest of this race. Of course, it's those long distances, as I said, have been getting longer then for the women to eventually get equal estimated winning times with the male athletes. So it's the kind of first stage of that happening now. So these long distance getting slightly longer. And it's just great to see how easily she tackles that terrain there. It's a huge test of endurance. You've got to try and be as fast at the end as you are at the beginning as well. So let's look into the terrain then, see who we can spot.
Swedish runner, I would say, Andreas Svensson.
Yeah, really climbing up here. And this is towards control number 20. You can see she's just looking around an awful lot here.
I mean, she's, I don't know if you remember, but 19 to 20 is this route where you could go to the left. It's one of the last controls, and you can go down to the left and kind of run all around on a path, and she did that, but then you have to do a big climbing in the very end. And I mean, we have seen her now in the very end of this climbing, so of course she is yeah, it's maybe not her fastest part in the course, but it's here between, yeah, it was at control 20, so she was climbing up the hill there towards control 20. And here in the pictures we have her actually at control 14 compared to Andersen and Tuomisto.
Here's Megan Carter-Davies though into the finish. World sprint champion. She's had some good results in the forest as well. I think it's caught up, had a strong end to this course. So going to go into 6th place currently, just over 3.5 minutes down then. I think I saw her getting a little bit stuck by the river on the way to control number 2. Seemed to lose a little bit of time there, but not too much around the rest of the course. Now let's have a look at Lisa Risby, and she's losing a surprising amount of time. Lisa Risby is normally such a strong and such a consistent forest runner. 2 top 6s for her at the World Champs a couple of years ago. So we'd normally expect her to do good things in the forest. But she's still being, top 5, top 6 at the moment as she makes her way towards this control. This is control number 11. And it's looking an absolutely gorgeous day in the forest today. You can see there she is dropping down the slope. Just, I think, checking the control code, checking the route towards the next control, and refolding her map. Not maybe the quickest we've seen going through there, but still no huge time losses at this point.
We have the comparison between Hagström and Risby. You can see that quite similar here on this route. But, maybe a bit high here in the beginning. Could have stayed a little bit longer on the road. Very well executed here by Hagström. Actually the same for Risby. Well done to control 7. A bit low to control 8. But I mean, yeah, we were talking about, of course she loses time, Risby here, but I mean there are only 4 runners starting after her, and so it could still be a top 10 here.
So Caroline Olsen then towards split 2. And it looks like Caroline's had a good kind of early season, some good results in the Swedish league. Always one to watch when she is out, whenever she starts a race, but can have the habit of, you know, making one quite big mistake.
I have the feeling that she has taken a step from compared to last year. Last year, it's just felt that she was a little bit, she was not really there where she wanted to be. And this season, I mean, the start was so great, and I think that she might have done, taken 1 or 2 steps here. Maybe not her absolute favorite terrain, this one here.
Okay, so waiting at this racetrack at the finish then. Here's Andrea Svensson. And she might be just outside then this top 3. As she switches to this racetrack to power in towards the finish. And I think it's an example of the strength in depth of this Swedish team. So Svensson, oh, maybe she's just going to make it into 3rd place. She's going to go just ahead of Grossberger. And that looks like a really fantastic race for her. So just 1 minute and 46 seconds down on our current leader.
And she is one of the runners who developed very well the last years. I mean, she was not one of the runners that took the step from the juniors and just was, yeah, top of the elite class as well. She really had to build that up and developed pretty well during the last years. And I mean, now she's in this Swedish team, which means that you're one of the best anyway in every race you start.
Yeah, it's not easy to get in there at all. So this is a replay. It's not synchronized though, so we can just see the comparison of the routes though. Because of that mistake for Taney, which we already saw.
Yeah,
and almost looked like Svensson changed her mind there to 20. Started going straight and then decided to go down to the path.
I mean, once she starts to head north, she has to round this cliff there, so she can't just go down, but the best would have been to go down straight from the control, and maybe she wasn't 100% prepared for that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most interesting controls of the whole course for me, to be honest, which way you want to take that and avoid a lot of the rocks. Here's Teresiana Shikova though, has been a member of the Czech team for quite a long time, but you can see she's not really in control here and maybe losing a lot of time there. She had seemed to go a lot better in the forest races, make a lot of improvement there. She'd always been quite good at sprint, but was making improvement. Let's go back to Gempela though, and she, oh goodness me, she's already 6 minutes down.
She lost a lot of time towards the second control. She got quite lost there.
Yeah, she will have been incredibly annoyed with that, and you can see she's just losing more time. You can see maybe she doesn't really seem to be too much in control. You can see just how much she's looking around in quite a frantic way, I think. Here we go though.
It looked a bit nervous when she came there. This is Benjaminsen.
Yes. So Benjaminsen then has caught up 3 minutes on Gempele then. So Gempele pretty much out of that.
But they have been together for a while, so my feeling is that maybe Gempele pushed away a little bit and got caught right here again.
So Gempele and Benjaminsen were starting third and fourth last starters. We've got Simone Abersold and Tove Alexandersson to come, although with the route choice to number 5 from Abersold, could we see Alexandersson through next? Very, very possibly. Here's Victoria Hestad Bjørnstad into the finish then. And she is going to be well outside that top 10. Just into 20th place then for Victoria Hestad Bjørnstad.
20th place for Hestad Bjørnstad, Norway. Waiting for Eastby here.
Okay, here's Tove Alexandersson then. Here's our last starter.
It looks quite similar. She's quite as attacking as Sara Hagström before.
Yeah, I think so. Just picking up the edge of that hill then to get into the control. Yeah, the two of them looking very, very similar, and you can see it's actually really, really close on the time there between Alexandersson and Hagström. They're quite comparable there, and we know we could see that Sara Hagström was the first to make it to control number 2.
But you
so
can see
really
that
these two, I think, going neck and neck, just losing and gaining seconds here and there, I think.
But you can see that Hagström is winning back some time here from control 9. She won some time back from control 6 to 9, and now she keeps on winning time here. So it's only 14 seconds between the two of them.
Yeah, it's exciting to see them so close. You know, so often we've seen Alexandersson dominate. You know, she's got 17 world titles. She got 10 in a row over a period of a few years or so. Such as her dominance, and really kind of still is. But if you can see here, this route choice to number 2, that's where we saw Hagström go into the lead basically, and then the lead's been changing after that with Alexandersson catching up a little bit more time there.
But you could also see that Lundberg had quite a good route there to control 2, didn't lose too much time. Here you can see the mistake by Abersold. She lost more than 2 minutes compared to Alexandersson on this one. And here you can see how Hagström lost a bit of time to control 5 and 6. And now she, from here, she gets closer and closer again. This is Simone Abersold.
Yeah, down in 7th place there. So you could just see on the graphics she was over 2 minutes and 20 seconds slower than Alexandersson on that control to 5, and that was pretty much all in the route choice there. So dropping down into 7th. She's still the best Swiss at this point, but and I'm sure she will work really, really hard. I mean, everybody, but especially the Swiss, will have their main focus this season being on those World Championships. Up in Flims and Larks, but really at the moment those two, Tove Alexandersson and Sara Hagström, just kind of pretty much a step, a whole class apart from everybody else at this early stage in the race.
And let's take a look at Hagström here, because this is the part where she is able to win back some time compared to Alexandersson. A quite big amount of that is to control 8.
Yeah, small errors in the circle. We saw a small error. Hagström was just a bit low to number 5. Then Alexandersson was slightly off to number 8.
And it's what I talked about before. It's so important to execute these legs well. I mean, it's all about these micro route choices, and it can really make a difference if you round one of the small hills to the left or to the right. If you hit a good track, maybe some animal tracks, you have to keep your eyes open and yeah, observe everything around you. In order to take these right decisions when it comes to the micro route choices.
So Marika Taney here, and looks like she's still running with Paula Gross, but this could well be the new leading time.
That should be
the
leading
just
time.
Yeah.
The commentator's curse. hitting
It
us.
is always, absolutely always having a little bit of a struggle on there.
The picture is kind of frozen. Yeah, good. Yeah. Is Katherine with us still? I'm not sure. I am on air still. Okay. So we have a bit of struggles with the internet connection in Norway, but we're back on track here again with Sara Hagström punching here. Or at least being still in the lead here. This is Vendla Harjo, 9 minutes behind. And this was Marika Teini. We missed her coming to the finish here with a new best time.
1 minute left for Axel Rohola to the stadium to take the lead from Axel Elmland.
This is the recap.
Not to the stadium, but to the
See the
control
different
before.
routes here. Teini going down, climbing all the way up again to control 20. Here's the spot where we lost them. Then getting to the finish. It was actually really, really close. I don't really know who's in the lead. Our split times here, the monitor has frozen as well. But this is Hanna Lundberg on the way to the second split. So 7.5 minutes behind. You can see how it developed over the course. She loses time from every control to the next one. Into 10th position here. And this is the recap. You can see Sara Hagström here going straight to 15. We compare her to Hanna Lundberg. You can see how Hagström almost is glued to the line compared to Lundberg, so who's going down. I think if she goes down there, she can go down straight from the control 14. But anyway, it's not the best route.
Well, I got tired and tried to save energy by not
That Hagström could have hit the road a little bit earlier there, but I mean now we're complaining on a very high level here.
You must be satisfied anyway with the race, or?
Now she's trying to hit the small path there in order to get a few meters help with the orienteering part.
Like fight all the way because today it was just fighting. But well, of course I would prefer not to do any mistakes. But
No.
So we are waiting for Caroline Olsson on the way to this third split. She there into 5th position, just a few seconds ahead of her teammate Andrea Svensson. And now she has to climb up here to this semi-open area. We have seen so many pictures from above about. And then it's only 2 controls to the finish. Continue the comparison now. This time it's Marika Teini. We see this small mistake there. It's about 20-25 seconds. And Hanna Lundberg just losing direction to control 16. That's what, and 17. It's one thing I mentioned before at control 15. The visibility changes a little bit. You see these green dots there around control 16. And if you're not very precise with your compass, with direction, then it's easy to just kind of get away from the line. And yeah, the result you can see there. It's quite a big time loss if you count the 2 controls together. And in third, Marianne Andersson, 1:19 behind.
Venter på Caroline Olsson, som nå på vei mot den nest siste posten. Har vært ute i 1:30, og vi vet at besttiden i mål så langt Marika Teini på 1:29.08. We're waiting for Caroline Olsson for second last control. She will be here in just a minute or two. Forventningen kommer her og går inn mot en plassering topp 5 kanskje. Og da har hun tatt en hel del. Ja da, det blir en femteplass på Caroline Olsson. Fifth place, Caroline Olsson. Just now. Så vet Tegne tar det nedre veivalget til en 20. post. Bøssero skårer på. Det har vært ganske godt fordelt mellom de to veivalg. Rols er vel den neste vi venter på. Nå. Og på den andre TV så hadde Sara Hagstrøm 1.05.13.
So this is the recap, maybe some indication where she lost the time. Looked good to 15 and 16. 17, 18 good as well. You see that Marika Teini, the leader in the finish, went to the left there, and this is a mistake here by Janosikova, getting too much to the south towards control 19 and then just missing in the slope there. Then of course it's a very tough climb up there towards control 20, and then the climb doesn't stop there. You have to keep on climbing all the way to control 21. Here we have Johanna Riedefeld. Punched at 20th control into 11th position, 5:38 behind. It's Janosikova. Again at control 20. Had to come back there, did a mistake when we saw her in the picture, didn't punch the control there. This is Lisa Risby at control 17, so now entering this open area 17, 18 and then to 19 you're in this semi-open area all the way there. Not 100% sure where she can spot the control, but I think she got it now. Quite big time differences today. Punches into 14th position, almost 8 minutes behind Marika Teini. Sarah Hagström at this point now. So this again, the mistake by Janosikova to this 20th control. I mean, she was basically there. I don't know if she forgot to punch the control or if she didn't see it. Maybe she saw the all the signs around and thought that the control would come further up the hill. But this is Elena Roos to the finish into 13th position, 5 minutes 40 behind. Had a quite a good start, was top 5 at the first radio control, but then lost time throughout the course. And this, I think, is Natalia Gempele and Sabine Hauswirth together. So Gempele was able, Gempele was able to run away again from Benjaminsen.
Really hard to drop somebody on this kind of terrain, but if anyone can do it. So Natalia Gempele's caught up, what's that, 6 minutes on Hauswirth then, who, is really, really dropping down the results here. And you can just see she's just struggling to go through that terrain a lot more compared to Gempele, who's making it look far, far too easy in her debut in a Swiss top. I mean, she's 6 minutes down, but still in 6th place. It's, big gap separating this field.
Yeah, if you look at her, it feels that she has so much to give, but she can't really show it here because it's kind of the technique is holding her back.
Yeah, and it was surprising to see her stop there actually at the control. But you could see her looking at her compass on the way there as well.
And here the comparison between Alexandersson and Hagström, especially interesting. They were very close together at the arena passage. And I mean, they're running in almost exactly the same speed here. Maybe a bit faster by Alexandersson, but still.
Oh, it almost seems like Alexandersson is running faster in some stages and then slightly slower in others, and there's just winning and losing seconds here and there on those micro routes, as you were saying, and it's just going to be, adding up there. But actually now, this looks like a bit of a bigger gap.
But you can see the up and down throughout the whole course. I mean, it was always around this between 40 and 10 seconds.
Yeah, it looks like she's going to stay again fairly level with Hagström. We saw Alexandersson win I think it was both the test races in Norway, both the middle and the long distance. The middle by quite a convincing margin, the long by less so, with Gempele in second. So she did win everything as well in Norway 4 years ago. But here's Sarah Hagström to the finish, and this is going to be a huge new leading time here from Sarah Hagström. She's fighting all the way to that line, and will know that was a fantastic race. So 83 minutes and 2 seconds. Sarah Hagström now will have a nervous wait, but to be honest, that looks good for a podium position, I think, for Sarah Hagström. Seeing what everybody else has done and what Alexandersson's done and the gap the two of them have to the rest of the field, that is looking fantastic.
She's very satisfied, and she should be. As you said, I'm quite sure it will be the fight between her and between Tove Alexandersson for the victory today.
Here's Maria Olausson on her way into the finish as well, and this looks to be a good second place here for the Norwegian. Sarah Hagström just checking that is first place, as we can see a new second coming into the line behind her. Here's Maria Olausson, 3.5 minutes down.
And I mean, it's still, for Alexandersson, it's still some tricky controls to come. We have seen many athletes having problems on this control 19, then a few of them having problems with control 20 as well, 21, so it's still... And of course, you can lose time on this route choice as well if you don't execute it well. I don't think there's any bigger time loss in the end here by Sara Hagström.
No, it looks very, very solid. As this is Simona Abersold on her way to split number 2. This is the previous control. And really we saw a lot of the damage being done initially here between controls 4 and 5. It's been hard to know how Simona Abersold's winter has been. I think, gathering from what she's been saying on her social media, it seems that she's had to fight in recent months to try and build back some fitness. She's certainly been to a lot of training camps around in Tenerife and around other parts of Southern Europe, and of course will be focusing, trying to peak for the World Championships. But you can really see she's actually just losing a bit of time here and there in this course as well, after you factor in that route choice to control 5.
But I hope for her that she can take this for what it is, because it's still early in the season. The main goal for all of the athletes, but especially for the Swiss ones, is coming in the summer when it comes to the World Championships. And I mean, there's so much time to build up the shape. So as long as you have done a good job in winter building up that base endurance and did that winter training work, then there's so much time to develop that shape. So I hope for her that she is not taking too many negative feelings out of this competition today. I mean, she's still 5th in this spot here.
Yeah, absolutely. She shouldn't be too disheartened. She's got high hopes, having now won her first European title in Estonia. I know she definitely wants to try and get a world title to add to that one as well, and we'll be looking towards that home world champs. But yeah, it's a very, very different kind of physical test and navigational test here in Norway compared to at home for her. And towards the finish now, Venla Haju in towards the finish, but having been caught up and overtaken by quite a few of the runners after her, so she will be outside the top 20. Quite a shame for the European champion. This is Hannah Lundberg, though, I think on her way to control number 20, and she's lost a lot of time here now, down 14 minutes.
She did quite many mistakes at control 16 and 17, just down there in this corner. This we have a recap here. Maybe another mistake. It's strange there because we have seen other runners. Janosikova had problems there as well. Was actually at the control, or it looked like this, but didn't see it.
I mean, it looked like she went exactly there.
I mean, when I talk about Janosikova, I talk about 20th control, but you can feel that it's kind of the something that's coming back in this slope. When you're not exactly at the place, you don't see the control. Yeah, it's strange. She has been there all the time, more or less.
That's very frustrating and very, very tricky.
But you could feel that she became tired at control 15, 16, because it's there where the real problem started for her.
And then give us a sense of how difficult it is to, once you get tired and you make a mistake, how difficult is it to get back and into a good flow?
Every orienteer knows that feeling when you start to get tired on a long distance, and you kind of feel in your head that you don't really have the power to do the work all the way to the control, and you just kind of rely on your compass and hope for the best. And sometimes it's going well, and on other days kind of things like this happen. But this one here is very interesting now, because let's compare Alexandersson and Hagström. And my feeling is that Alexandersson is going too far down there, and that this could cost a few seconds. Is it
But she
enough?
looked like she caught up a lot of speed though on the road. Took a longer time on the road, and it looked to be good. But yeah, you're right. At this point here, that's definitely some catching.
I think it wasn't really as planned 100% because you got into this small greener area there with the few cliffs as well. But I mean the gap is still around this 45 seconds.
And now it's actually really hard to, you're going to drop down that slope. It's hard to see exactly, where you are on the slope, how far north, how far south when you're approaching from the top. And we saw a lot in the season last year about how difficult it is to descend into a control and keep the, keep your navigation very, very accurate when you're descending.
I mean, it's one of the most difficult things to attack control from right above, because if you don't hit it right, if it's hidden behind something, you will never see it until you pass it, and if you're not 100% sure that you're right, then you won't see it. And you have to know, you have to have kind of a feeling if you're not 100% sure if you're too much to the left or too much to the right, because then you can still look at the other side. But it's so easy to miss controls in the downhills, and that's actually one thing that Sara Hagström talked about when she talked about her move to Italy. She spent there a lot of time during the winter, that she hopes to become a better orienteer in the slopes and also, of course, in the uphill running.
Okay, so I think we're going to have a little quick chat to Sara Hagström, find out how her race was. Sara, you looked so happy on the finish line. You must have had a great feeling on the race today.
Yeah, I was really in the orienteering bubble the whole way. Didn't think about the result or anything. So yeah, it was really nice to relax on the running, or not relax, but when I finished the finish line, it was a really good feeling to feel that I kept the orienteering focus the whole way.
Yeah, we were just talking about your move to Italy to get a lot of training in ahead of the World Championships, and especially doing controls, descending into controls and doing controls on the slope. Do you think that helped you today?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was mostly the uphill running I have developed. I felt really strong today, which I haven't been feeling the previous years. So it's really good to have confidence in the running, and then also slope control taking was, I think I developed a lot there too, but mostly the physical shape is really good right now.
Yeah, you looked physically very, very good. We saw you descending through the terrain. This must give you such a good confidence boost at this early stage of the season.
Yeah, it's been really nice. I was pre-selected for this World Cup, so I skipped the Swedish League to keep the winter training a bit longer, and I think that was really good for my shape, and I hope that it will show on the World Champs also that I had a longer winter training.
Well, congratulations today, and best of luck for the next two races here in Norway as well. Thanks for chatting to us.
Thanks a lot.
So yeah, very, very confident there from Sara, and yeah, she could tell, she's got a lot of confidence in her physical shape, and the orienteering kind of happened as well. So really, really great stuff for her. This is Hannah Lundberg on the floor here. Goodness me, she is 4 around it today, and maybe, just too far the other side of the line, really trying to push hard and just being quite tired and making all those mistakes, I think, for her today.
Yeah, and I mean, we shouldn't forget, she's, you mentioned it before, it's her first year as a senior, and it's a long distance. It's the first competition of the season. We know where she lost the time. She has a good basic speed. You could see where she lost the time. She struggled with controls. She got a bit tired towards the end. I think that's nothing too big to worry about.
Okay, let's have a look here. We're catching up with Alexandersson now, descending into this control number 19. Looks like she did that, actually avoided a mistake. She was really far right of the line, but had that enough control. But they're so close now.
Definitely lost time there, and you can see that's split up a little bit here. when it comes to the route choice. I like the approach of Alexandersson more. She tries to get this track there, this small track, in order to build up some speed. Hagström went up the hill a bit earlier.
Yeah, it looks like it'll probably be a better lines maybe further up there as well. It's hard to tell, but here's Lisa Risby. And having just done that next control, we expect to see Alexandersson. And 10 minutes down, just outside the top 10 at that point. And there is Natalia Gempele.
I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. We have seen Gempele.
She's been running with everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, she has so much power, but when you look at how she executes the legs, you can find some small things every now and then, and still, her result will be quite okay today. It will be, maybe might be good enough for a top 10.
It had potential to be something more, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, she showed that in earlier races as well this year. She was outstanding in the middle distance qualification in Switzerland. She had other good results also in long distance. So you can see that she's very eager to compete, and maybe it's a bit. Yeah,
well, maybe she's almost too eager or
yeah,
something.
That's what I mean.
She's got so much emotion around coming back to this sport, racing for a new nation, and then all of the orienteering goes out of the window. Yeah,
I mean, not everything. I mean, she's still parts where she's doing good, but at some parts you can almost feel that she wants too much. She wants to kind of have space for all the energy she has in the body, and then, sometimes it's just a few seconds every now and then, and in other places she loses a lot, like towards the second control.
So here's Alexandersson. Oh, you can see those boards, the advertising there, and she knew she was super, super close, but actually, she's, I think, done a really good route choice, micro route choices to this control, to number 20, and she's managed to catch up maybe another 30 seconds now to overtake Hagström.
And also very convenient for her that she has Andrine Benjaminsen behind, even if she doesn't get help actively now in the control taking. I mean, if there's two more eyes, if you get close to the controls, that could see the control when you get a bit unsure close to the circle, so definitely a kind of bit of an advantage for her.
Yeah, this is the live tracking then. So we've just seen Gempele and Risby go through control number 20. There you can see they're really, really close together. And then Alexandersson just over a minute back in real time. So we are live with all of these runners here at the very, very end of this long distance course. They've got to climb up here onto this felled area, this semi-open area where the characteristics of the course change once again, and that's one of the tricky things of this long distance. There aren't too many route choices. There's a few that have, if you've really gotten wrong, like we saw Simona Aersel go wrong to number 5, you've lost a lot of time. But Hausfeld is looking dropping time, more and more time right then here as she goes through to control number 20, and just not really got that attack here now compared to the leaders, I think. Okay, so we can compare some of these route choices here. We see Taney drop down straight away to go down towards the track.
We also know that Benjaminsen was more or less together with Alexandersson, so we're almost comparing Alexandersson to Taney now.
Yeah, I think it looked good to drop down there. Here's Natalia Gempele now in towards the finish.
And I mean, if you look at the times after the first section there at the second control, she's actually not losing that much time from control 6 to the finish.
No, but all that time lost towards the start, and then she's going to come here into fourth place then. Gempler just ahead of Tuomisto. Was that a shake of the head there? Yes, a sad face, I think, from Natalia Gempler, knowing that she was, she almost was there, but a few things slightly missing. Here's Lisa Risby, and she's going to go into that 13th place then. A tough one, and the two of them, you can see, Natalia Gempler, I think, has the pace right now. She could actually stretch quite a significant number of seconds ahead of Lisa Risby there at the very end, and she was dropping other runners as she went round the course there. So I think really there's really a lot more to come from Natalia Gempler this season. She seems to be in really good shape. But Tove Alexandersson, well, it did look like she was having a pretty good race on with Sara Hagström today, but she's just been slightly too good around all of the controls, and particularly that route choice to 20 at the end was looking really, really fantastic. She managed to catch up a good 30 seconds there. I don't know that she knows she's won it though. She's really working hard all the way towards this finish line on this racetrack here. And Tove Alexandersson will take this win here today. She was the last starter. She gets her first World Cup win of the season. 82 minutes and 7 seconds. A little fist pump for her there. That's pretty good stuff from her.
We have the same story every year. We have every new season we are discussing, and we try to figure out, is she as dominating as she was the season before? And then we have Hagström, and she does a really good performance here, and she's in really good shape. But in the end, Tove is Tove. She is always taking it.
And, she hasn't done as much, ski orienteering this season as well. I think she's spent a lot of the times, working on her hill climbing, working on her strength for the forest races that she's going to face this season. And it's really proved that with yet another win on another type of terrain. If you remember, 4 years ago, she took all the gold medals in the forests in Østfold in the first ever forest only World Championships. It was such a strong performance from her, and she can just go into this terrain with a whole load of confidence, and again it's going to set her up very well. Here's Sabina Hauswirth then on her way towards the second to last control.
And you can observe something for her that we see for many other runners. Once they start to lose time, it feels like they hit kind of a wall, and they kind of, I think it has something to do with when you feel that you start to lose time. Maybe you've seen other runners pass. It's so hard to keep on fighting for every meter on a long distance, especially when it's tough terrain to run in. And you can see it very clearly here for Hauswirth, maybe not right here, but before, when she was approaching the controls, it was just not, the body language was just not that attacking as it has to be.
And what is she thinking? Is she even thinking about it? Is she just thinking, I want to get to the end? Is she thinking, we've got a middle distance race on Saturday. Yeah. I'm actually going to save. I kind of know it's not going so well. Let's just get round and save my body for the middle distance.
It's very hard to say, but it's definitely thoughts that come up in your head when it's not only one runner that passed her, so she knows that she won't win this race. She knows that she won't be in the top 10 for sure, and then of course you can think that there are other races coming and they have better chances there. But you have to, at the same time, you have to be careful, because if you relax too much or if you stop focusing, it will just get longer and longer, and the course will never end. So it's like,
Yeah, tough day in the forest. She's only just going to scrape into the top 40 then here. on this racetrack, and yeah, not the best day in the forest for Sabina Hauswirth. But you know, you have a rest day tomorrow. Everyone will need to recover from this long distance, and you know, if we've got to remind everybody, it's a longer winning time than people have been used to. These women have been used to as these winning times get longer and longer and longer, so that they eventually match up with the men's winning times. But yeah, it looks like a very, very tricky day in the forest for Hauswirth today.
Looks like he can steal it away from Elmblad.
You can see the effort that goes into these races, and I think
it looks also as if she has some problems with breathing. Maybe she had a small like a cold or whatever the days before. I mean, I'm just speculating, but it looks like she has her hand placed on her chest, and
yeah, she looks like she's is in a bit of trouble breathing, but a shake of the head there for Hauswirth. Now she just wants the camera to, I think, leave her alone for a bit. Let's catch up then towards the last part. Oh, and Simona Abbosold going a completely different way towards this last control. Punching it there, and now in towards the finish. And again, we were hoping Abbosold can take some positives, I think, away from this race. It's going to be a bit of a tough one for her. Kind of some question marks over her shape and how it's been going this winter. But she does seem to have been finding some fitness in the spring. But dropping time throughout the course after that route choice error to 5.
I mean, it is kind of a similar scenario for her. I mean, she lost time in the beginning. She had other runners passing her. It's hard to keep it together, but she did actually quite okay towards the end. I mean, now she's in 8th position. Yeah.
Yeah, and Simona Abbosold actually made her Swiss senior team debut back in 4 years ago at the World Champs, just 10 kilometres from this arena. But Tove Alexandersson reigns supreme again with a Swedish 1-2. It felt like she was, pushed to the line quite a bit by Sara Hagström today. Of course, she will have no idea about that. She'll have been catching runners, getting some good feedback. But it was a decent win at the end. Those are final results. Just less than a minute lead then for Tove Alexandersson, and then in a 5 whole minutes back to Maria Olausson, who takes a fantastic 3rd place there for her. I think that must be her best World Cup result. Really, really credible 3rd place there. Andrina Benjaminsen into 4th. Marika Taney, one of those early starters, probably more of a middle distance specialist, so we'll look out for her on Saturday, but into 5th place as well. As we might expect, a lot of Swedes in this top 20, so I'm sure we'll watch out for the Swedish teams. Always a favourites, even Swedish 1 and 2nd team, and even 3rd team as well when we head towards the relays. Otherwise, you can see Venla Haju, I think, will be disappointed with that 27th place. The Finn has had some good results leading up to this, and also to Hanna Lundberg, disappointment on her face to be down in that 36th spot. Mistakes, I think, just running too fast for the navigation there today. And we can look down towards the rest of the final results. Okay, let's have a quick look at the GPS tracking then. As we take some of our top runners, top 5 runners, where do you think it was won and lost?
I mean, you can see here, it's interesting that Hagström and Alexandersson split up actually towards this 2nd control. Would have been very interesting to see Natalia Gempele on this one. But you can see that it was a good choice to go straight. In the long term, I think it was still a good option to go around, because definitely you can save some energy there. This is the place where Abbosold kind of lost the race early by going around. And you can see that all of those 5 here, more or less the same route choice, but then they have some small differences in how they execute this. Also notice that Olausen's quite far behind at this point. And here we start with this back and forth between Alexandersson and Hagström. We noticed that at control 6, I think it was somewhere around 40-50 seconds. Then at control 11, the gap was only a few seconds, maybe 14. And from there, Alexandersson was able to build up that gap again towards 1 minute. But it's very similar. I mean, it's a lot about this, keeping close to the line and find the small tracks and find ways to be fast from like every meter. 14, still no big differences in between Hagström and Alexandersson. Here it's a small difference. You can see that Alexandersson chose to go to the small track just after control 14, as Taney did. But in the end, I mean, there was no big difference time-wise. And now we can see that Olausen is winning back this 3rd position compared to Taney. Taney, who did a mistake there at control 15 as well. If you go back to the lead, we see a clear difference here in how they attacked this control 19. Alexandersson, in my opinion, was a bit low in the middle section between 18 and 19. And then here, I think this is very important, very well done by Alexandersson, staying on this small path just a few seconds longer, and you can see that the gap is growing straight from there up to 1 minute again. And I mean, that's basically the gap they have in the finish. It could have been tight. It was quite close at control 19, but I think in the end the decisive situation was towards 20 when she kept a bit longer on this small track.
Yeah, impressive stuff there. Really impressive. Let's hear from our winner.
Tove, congratulations on another win in the World Cup. How was your run?
Yeah, thank you. It was a good run. I had some just small struggle on some races, but it's hard to do a perfect race, and especially so early in the season when you are not totally used with the running in the forest and orienteering. So I'm really satisfied with the race.
So yeah, it's been 6 months since there was any big international races. What does it mean for your self-esteem coming back after the winter break and winning?
It feels, of course, really good, but yeah, it's still early in the season and it's more weeks to the big goals for this season, but it's of course fun to have a so good start, and it's super fun that Sara is in 2nd place. She is really strong, so yeah, and also Maria in 3rd place. It's super fun, so yeah, I'm happy with the day.
And 4 years ago you won both the middle and the long distance at the World Champs here in Norway. Very similar terrain, just 10 kilometers. What were your feelings for the terrain today? Did you feel like home?
Oh yeah, it feels, I'm really used to this kind of terrain. I have not been running in this kind of terrain for the last year, but of course it's also quite similar to the terrain I have home in Sweden, so yeah.
And there's a middle distance on Saturday. Are you confident going into that race as well?
Yeah, we will see. We haven't run so many races yet this season, but I'm looking forward to it. But I think it will be a really tight race, and I think it is many that want to be in top.
We saw Sara Hagström, your colleague at the national Swedish team, being less than a minute after you today. What does that mean you have to look out for her?
Oh, it's super fun that Sara is running so good, and I think she will be really hard to beat on the middle distance as well.
We'll see. Thank you, Tove, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
So our thoughts from the winner today are, great to see her. Shout out her teammate, Sara Hagström, who takes her first ever Forest top 3, her best ever result in the Forest. And Maria Larsson as well, that's her first medal as well in the World Cup circuit. So some new faces on the podium we will see, certainly in 2nd and 3rd place. Very, very familiar for Tove Alexandersson. And it was interesting to hear how, she was looking kind of maybe for some more confidence, but really going it's a long season. We'll, I'm glad to see where I am now, but actually it's those World Championships in Switzerland I'm really looking forward to.
But I mean, in the end, she sounded quite confident. I mean, she, of course, she was talking about not having competed too much, but no one did. And you could see from her orienteering that the style she was orienteering, like it was a very confident style. She was attacking the controls. You saw her in the pictures. It was very much the Tove Alexandersson we are used to see in competitions like this.
Yeah, absolutely. And even though, she says she hasn't been racing much in this particular terrain over the last year, it's so familiar, to her, growing up in Sweden, having terrain not quite the same, but not too dissimilar to this, and doing a lot of racing in the area. It just means that you have that kind of confidence in that terrain, and she really, really showed that. Completely unlike maybe when we saw her competing at the European Champs, where she just really didn't feel like she was into the terrain and had the right technique to perform well in Estonia. Here, she has the perfect technique to perform well in Norway. So, Tove Alexandersson then, our winner of the women's race, and we're going to move on then towards the men's race. Of course, they've been starting for a good number of hours so far, heading out into the terrain.
Might be a flower ceremony first.
I think it is going to be a flower ceremony first. You're right.
Hold your horses, Katherine.
Getting too excited to move on to the men's, but there we go. As you can see, these are the top three. We will do the flower ceremony right now.
Ladies, the flowers will be awarded by Cecilia Arnold, Head of Culture Committee in Viken region.
I mean, you were talking about Maria Olausen and her best result, but she was fourth at the World Cup final last year in the long distance as well, so she has been proving that she's good over this distance.
From Sweden.
Yeah, she's really showing that. But it's another thing to, actually get on the podium and have this moment as well, have this flower ceremony moment. Of course, Tove Alexandersson, very, very used to it. But, she doesn't take her wins for granted at all. She knows there's loads and loads of runners kind of hot on her heels. And now, we were talking about, was it Andrina Benjaminsen? Would it be Simona Abersols? Now it seems like the one to watch, Sara Hagström, less than a minute behind Tove Alexandersson today. She knows she was tested.
And it's definitely interesting for us. I mean, we have seen earlier races where Tove could basically do 5 minutes mistake and still would win the race, but that wasn't the case today. I mean, she didn't do any big mistakes and she won by approximately a minute, so it's close. It's getting close up there.
Yeah, and she knows she's got to put together a run that doesn't have any mistakes in it in order to win now. She can't, we've seen her so many times, especially on this long distance as well, claw back time because she's so physically strong. But she didn't have to do that today. There we go then. Those are the top three with our flower ceremony awarded, and now we can move on to the men's course. Now we can indeed, as we get ready to watch the fastest men in the world. As again, our start list is done by world ranking order. We've got 126 men on the start list today. It's a good long one, and it's going to be 15 kilometers then for the men with the climb. You thought that Norway would be flat compared to the Switzerland. Still 660 meters of climb. Still a lot of contours to have to deal with. Let's have a look then at the course and what is going on, all the different route choices they have to do.
We have quite a similar route choice from first to second control, but it's not the same. The control comes actually earlier, so I think it will be more tempting to go straight, and the option around is a little bit less. I don't think they will use it so much. And we have this long leg here towards the 8th control. It's also different, so I think there will be new options on this one. Then we have an extra loop here as well, from control 10, 11, 12, 13. before we go back towards TV control at control 16. This is the first TV control. It's the one we have seen in the women's race. Then the arena passage, control 18, 19. And then we go into this area here, small loop, before even the men head down towards this part here where we had a little bit less of visibility around control 22, 23, 24, second TV control at 25, and then a similar route choice here in the end, a bit longer of course, between 27 and 28. Let's see if even the men, a few of them, choose to go down there and use the path, or if they will stay above the slope and go more or less straight. But this is the course. It's long, it's a long distance, there are route choices, and let's take a closer look to this second control. As I mentioned before, if you remember the women's leg here, the second control was further away, so I think it will be much more tempting to go the blue one. Maybe not exactly the blue one. You can stay below the hill there, go out to this field and just run at the border of it, as we've seen many of the women, and then I think this middle option will be the one most of the runners pick.
Yeah, this is what the green looks like then. If you do this middle option, which you think is the best, Jonas, then the green, you can see the visibility drops, but it's not too bad really, I think, in terms of runnability, and then the terrain changes again as you get into the control.
And in the picture we see Øystein Christiansen, former world champion for Norway. And this is the second long leg here from control 7 to 8. And you can see now which the control 7th control is located at another place compared to the women's race. So I think the yellow option is is not as tempting as it was in the women's race. But on the other hand, I mean, the red one is one option that many of the runners have chosen so far. Also the blue one is definitely one that the runners choose, but let's see which one is faster when we get into the race then. And here again, it's quite the same situation as for the women. My guess is that most of the runners will go for something close to the blue option.
I think here is it's better than on the women's leg there to go out onto that path on the red option, but still it seems quite a long way off the line when the blue route doesn't seem really too bad at all. And 1 to 22. 21 to 22, not looking. You can get a sense of what it is like underfoot, and where you can pick up those good lines and find those micro route choices to, head in.
You can see that the runnability is quite good, but when you get closer to this control, it's a bit tricky here. Because the visibility is not as good just around the 20-second control, and that's the difficulty of this leg. I think that in the end you have to change your orienteering style and adapt for the coming controls.
So here is the start list. They've been going off since 10 o'clock this morning. And of course, this is done by world ranking. So the more world ranking points you have, the later you will start. I know certainly a lot of, runners from some of the smaller orienteering nations really try to get as many world ranking points as they can, so that they start as late as they can. It's thought of generally as a better advantage as things start to kind of track up and get a little bit quicker the later you start. But anybody you want to kind of pick out, I guess maybe let's as we look through the start list, let's think about who our favourites are, and those are going to be our later starters certainly.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we have Kasper Fosser, Mattias Kibbutz, Gustav Bergman, Daniel Hopman. It's like the same names as always, more or less. But I would like to add a few of them. I mean, if you look at the result list so far from this race, and also a very interesting runner that's coming, Axel Elmblad for Sweden. He had good test races at the Swedish League. He was finishing in third position, both the middle distance and long distance. Definitely one runner that's maybe the future of the Swedish team. And then also very interesting, Anton Johansson, medalist at the European Championships, but had struggled so many years with injury. Now finally is back, and I think we can expect quite a lot from him. So there are so many names in the men's race, basically on this. From the last 30 runners, you could almost name everyone as that has like reached a good result once in the career. But if you look at this last starters here, of course.
Yeah, we expect a lot from Kasper Fosser. He made his senior debut running for Norway 4 years ago on pretty much very, very similar terrain, only 10 kilometres further north from where we are. And, that's... He took a silver medal in his first senior race. Incredible stuff. So what can he do? Here, though, is our current leader, Axel Elmblad, who is in fact the JWOC sprint champion as well. So has good results from the junior level and a time of 94 minutes when we expect a 90-minute winning time. Incredible stuff from him. At the moment, of course, though, a lot of our later runners only still to start even. The last few runners are about to head out onto the course. So lots of potential, lots of names who we would hope to go quicker than that. But he should be very, very pleased with that senior debut there with that 94 minutes. Very, very good. What do we know of Kasper Fosser? He can turn up to a race maybe carrying a little bit of injury, and how is he at the moment?
I mean, it's so hard to make a prediction. Every time we said that he has struggled with injuries, he has to be careful, he was not training too much, then he's coming and winning the race anyway. So it feels like that the more you count him out, the better he gets. But I mean, I wouldn't count him out anyway. He had good results at the world ranking events this year so far. He's always good at the long distance, as you mentioned before. He has confidence in this kind of terrain because he took his first medal here still as a junior in the long distance. So he's maybe the biggest favorite anyway. And here we have the comparison.
That's a mistake from Luca Basse there, number 6.
And you can see that there are different options. I think that the both options, the one Basse is taking and the one the others are taking, are quite similar if you execute them well. So no bigger difference, but it's maybe a bit harder to execute the one where you go straight in a fast way compared to the one where you can run around a little bit more.
Ruslan Glibov here on the start line. We're just catching up with some of the runners who have already set off into the terrain. Just having a little replay of them at the start so we can pick out some of our favourites. And
Glibov
straight into folding up the map.
Had a good race last weekend at the Finn Spring. The long distance there, finished second.
This is Wojtek Kral. It's more well known as a sprint orienteer, but you can see he's looking pretty good on this point. You can see it kind of tracking up a little bit underfoot, I think.
Definitely. We also know that it was very wet earlier this week, so that makes it more likely to track up as well.
Yeah, very, very wet. A lot of rain on Sunday, Monday. A lot of flooding. I think the pre-start area, I've seen a picture of the pre-start area basically completely underwater. I think it's gone down now, but certainly I think the organisers said if the race was going to be on Tuesday rather than on Thursday, there would be some serious questions as to whether the race would actually be able to go ahead. Such were the conditions and the flooding that they had. But it's been dry since. It's a nice day today. And Wojtek Kral there into joint 25th place at that first TV split. Control number 16. It's the same one as we saw from men's. Ooh!
That hurts.
Oh, is he okay? He's getting Ouch. Ooh.
You could hear that wasn't good.
No.
Let's hope that he can continue.
Although at this point, if there's any place to injure yourself and have to drop out, it's probably this one, so you can head up the road towards the finish. But that's not good when you see someone do that at all.
And
Live with Emil Svensk, I think. There.
Yeah, if you could look at this, you saw that Kral, it was definitely the one running around the most of the three of them, and he was also the one losing time. So I think it's a very good thing to go straight in most of the controls today.
This is Topi Sirilainen into, again, this control number 16. I mean, that was probably the closest you can get to the control without seeing it, right? I went 2 meters.
But we have seen that before. I think those signs here distract the runners because they think that, of course, the control is close to the signs.
And they're so hard to ignore. They're so hard to ignore in the terrain. Especially as you know that they were being put in view for us, for the camera as well. Here is Emil Svensk. Looking up to see that start control.
Winner of the Norwegian test races, competed in Norway and not at the Swedish League, as many of this, or quite a few of the Swedish runners who were pre-selected for this World Cup round.
But Axel Embad is having a great time there in that leader's chair. He is certainly a unique position to be in, especially on, you know, first senior World Cup race. He is the J-Walk sprint champion, but it is not an easy thing to make that transition to the senior ranks, and especially not at something like the long distance. We see people able to do it at maybe at the sprints initially, just because it's not too dissimilar to what the kind of distances people are running at the Junior World Championships, but to make that step up at the long distance is something completely different. Here's Mika Kirmala following those barriers out towards the start control. And this is Martin Hubman. I was going to say it's definitely a Hubman. Looking fast through here as he glances little glances at the map.
Also he had quite a good start into the season, finished third in the Swiss long test run, fourth in the middle test run.
There you go. You can see him just dropping into this control.
He's taking something out of his back there, maybe some gel or something.
Yep, could well be. Let's have a look then at these leading runners.
That's the thing I mentioned before. It's the Swiss route choice there. But in this case, I mean, I mentioned that before, it's too far around. It's not the same as in the women's class. They had the second control somewhere close to the third control in the men's class. And of course, the longer you can run on this path, the more worth it is. Yeah, would have been interesting to see the end of this route choice there between control 7 and 8, maybe next time.
Yeah, as you see, look, Katherine, who's going to be outside the top 20. I think on that route choice, you've got so many of those fields that are out of bounds that really force you to go, you know, you have to go one side or the other of them. And I think it's really forcing people to go kind of that long way off the line. And there's only one really kind of straight option to go to, but certainly a lot of people looking to try and find those smaller tracks, looking to find those forest roads to run on as well. Here's Albin Riederfeldt good old look at the compass before his start.
Won't be the last time today.
No, well, if it is the last time today, you'll definitely be doing something wrong. I think, especially there's a lot of parts maybe towards the north and on some of the tops of the hills where the contour shapes look a little bit more vague or a little bit less defined in the terrain, and you've got a lot of form line contours as well. So you've really got to, I think, use the compass a lot, especially when straight's such a good option. Let's have another look then at this route, Troy, 7 to 8.
So fastest here so far is Luca Bassi on this control, and he is more or less going the way Kirmala is going. But Kirmala, I think he goes too much to the left. He should have left just after the forbidden area there, close to where Hoopman is, and go more straight towards this, because he has to go straight anyway. And here is Kral. I think we have seen him before.
That is the retirement there. I think that will be for him. Yeah, you go. You're not going to keep going on with the race if you're having that a chat. I think so. We saw he took a really heavy fall out of control, number 16, and that's it. That's his race over. I think it looked really painful, that. Yeah, we can still move, but maybe saving himself for the middle and the relay.
I don't think it's a very serious injury, but of course it's painful. So and this is a long course otherwise, so it's a smart thing to just go to the finish. It's a long season waiting.
Yeah, there was still a lot of the course left to go, to be honest. You can't normally do that on the run intake with a bit of a unique situation for him there. Though here is Olli Ojanaho, and a really, really exciting runner who was such a fantastic junior and has really now started to break into maybe more consistent top 10s at World Cup races in the forest. And I'm really, really excited to see how he can progress from a great end of the season last year. So really, really one to watch out for and see how he's able to fare, I think, as well. But Elias Kuka into control number 16. And already 4 minutes down on the current leader. Current leader at this point, Anton Johansson from Sweden, 49 minutes and 30 seconds. Lucas Leland of Norway in second place, just 36 seconds down. And our current leader at the finish, Axel Elmblad, was into third or fourth place. Third place at that point.
Again, now a new route there by Kuka. I think that's quite okay to do like this. So far what we know is that Bassi, who ran around, so a bit the longer option that you have seen Hoval taking there, it's about half a minute faster if you execute it well to go around.
Yeah, we saw Hovald go around and it looks like it's paying off reasonably well. Just got to get this really accurate navigation on the final 5-10% of each leg. You can see him drop down into this valley. There he is, I think. So into 8th place, just a couple of seconds ahead of his teammate.
Mathieu Perrin of France coming home with a good time, fighting actually for top 3. He will not beat the two best, but just behind, not many seconds. And the French is in 3rd place.
Haven't seen anything from Perrin throughout the course, but into 3rd position. Only 22 seconds behind.
Så har vi en ny beste tid i herreklassen igjen, og jeg har sett at det en stor konkurranse.
Yeah, really strong there. Next person we're looking for at the finish, though, to maybe first one who could challenge Axel Elmblad's lead will be Anton Johansson. We will look to see him very shortly. But here's Eskil Skinnerberry, the fifth to last starter today. Silver medal at the European Championships. Former sprint world champion Isaac von Krusenfeuerner. Really didn't have a particularly good season, wasn't able to carry that through really to 2022 after a very tough kind of winter full of injury and things like that. I'm sure he'll want to try and have a better season, a more healthy season this year. Very tall runner, and on his way towards this first TV split. There's almost a lot of people have gone off that cliff there, but into 7th place, so 2 minutes down off the pace.
Let's take a little recap here of his route choices so far. Looks good here. 214. A small mistake at control 15.
And a long way round to 14 as well, avoiding the open area and avoiding the green as well. It's certainly a choice.
I don't think it's very necessary. I mean, we have seen that it tracked up earlier in other parts. I think, and it's only like very thin bits you have to get through, through the green part. So I think you can go straight there. You don't have to go all the way around.
Yeah, maybe adding a lot of distance on there. Recap then, Ricardo Skelet pours into 22.
I could see this small mistake at 22, and I mean we were talking about that earlier. When you could also see it on the pictures when we approached control 22. It's kind of pre-runner, the camera shot. You could feel that the visibility gets a bit lower, and when you're not very focused out from control 22, then it's quite easy to overshoot it or to get off direction to control 23.
Here's Lucas Leland, and he's having a great run so far. His splits look really close to the top runners, but he's not quite in control here. You can just see how much he's looking around, just trusting he needs to kind of go fairly straight into this one. There we go. He's managed to get, I think, is this the first control of the twos? So, oh no, that is that control. And into a new leading time. So you can have a little look at the top two runners at this spot, number 25 here.
You can see that Johansson at this part here, he's slightly ahead, but Leland's speed is just a little bit better. Or quite a bit better actually, because he made a gap of like 35 seconds just by his physical skills here towards this 20-second control.
All right, back at the start, here is Daniel Hubman. A huge collection of World Championships, World Cup medals to his name, and I've got to say that maybe a bit of a surprise performance in Davos and that long distance as well. So certainly shows he's still got it. Just celebrated his 40th birthday. We'll see what Daniel Hubman is able to do in this terrain. Not got that home terrain advantage that he had in the World Cup final last year. But here's Luca Basset, and you said before, Jonas, he still had a very quick time towards 7 to 8, going a long way round on the roads, and so we can tell that his speed is certainly good.
And interesting, because Basset was the one fastest on this way around, and Lucas Leland, we've seen earlier, was the fastest on the straight option. So it's very important to perform well on this leg there between 7 and 8 in order to get a good result here.
So just dropping in here, and I want to say Luca Basset is based in Gothenburg, so not too dissimilar terrain.
Yeah, I mean it has definitely similarities. It's quite hilly, it's quite rough to run in. It's sometimes it looks fast because the visibility is good, but then it's yeah, just listen to your legs and they tell you that it isn't that easy to run.
No, so used to this rough stuff and the Scandinavian terrain as well.
Anton Johansson.
Here he is, Anton Johansson. So is he going to take a new leading time? I think it looks very good for him to be the new leader here at the finish. It looks like Lucas Leland is running a little bit faster in the terrain, but at this point he has got a pretty clear lead. It's going to be over his teammate. Fantastic running here then from Anton Johansson. It's going to be nearly a 2-minute lead ahead of Axel Elmblad, ahead of his teammates, and he's got to be pretty pleased with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's kind of funny because it's still, we haven't heard his name that many times in the World Cup, a good result, but still he's a medalist from the European champs, and he has such a huge potential, but had struggled so many times with injuries. So it will be so interesting to follow him under a longer period without any injuries to see where he really can get.
Yep, Simon Immark there into 5th, and for someone like Anton Johansson, it's also having enough consistent performances to get picked for something like a World Championships team, because there's so many consistent runners in that Swedish team.
But that's the thing with him. He just needs a few months without any injuries, and then he's always there. He's always performing. He has had good results every now and then in Sweden. Everyone knew that just give him a longer period without injury and he will be back. And it's like, I don't think he has to work his way that much up, because everyone knows about his potential. But of course, at the same time, if you have 3 or 4 starting spots, I mean, there's also Max Peter Beimer. He's not even starting today due to injuries. There are many other names you could pick. Yeah, now we see that Axel Elmblad is just showing up here and performing very well. So it's, yeah, definitely. But I mean, they are in such a high level, all of them. There are a few runners that have maybe this older merits they can rely on that help them really.
Yeah, you know, they know that they got consistent performances at that high level. They're maybe a more reliable runner to pick. So yeah, it's really hard to make the team selection for a team like Sweden to have. It's a really good problem to have, to be honest. But Timo Sild here is looking really strong, as he's running with a few other runners. I think that's Milos Nikodim and Rudolf Cernes. So he's called up Milos Nikodim by 6 minutes, Rudolf Cernes by 9 minutes, and you can see he's really in control here in this group. And leading the way there as well. So at 25 then, that control, we can see Lucas Leland still in that leading position. So he's yet to make it through to the finish, but we're live with Timo Sild, who looks like he's going back the other way out to the track.
I mean, you get a very easy entrance to the control because you can follow the street and then you have this open area there, but still I think it's closer. I mean, the other way south, it's not very difficult either, so I think this one is it's a better option.
This is Martin Regborn, who's caught Joey Hadorn. European long distance champion Martin Regborn. Previous also had been a bronze medal in the long as well. So really a distance that seems to suit him a lot, and he's caught Joey Hadorn as well. So already having some good feedback, less than 50 minutes into the course. So let's see if he's going to be the first one to go faster than Johansson, who's our current leader at the finish. Yes, this is a good gap here. 1 minute and 23 seconds. But certainly you can see Regborn being very active there and very, very quickly through that control, looking very, very encouraging.
I can see here it's quite similar at this point. No bigger gap. Here you can feel that Regborn is getting away a little bit.
It just went under that line of crags into 11 and got a bit of a gap. That's what we're talking about in terms of those micro route choices, I think.
It's here in the uphill, so you can see the difference. It developed from like 40 seconds to 1 minute. So I think it's like the uphill running by Regborn really making the difference here.
Yep, here's Gustav Bergman. Focusing, getting ready. 2 people left to start after him. Very, very attacking. I saw him riding on, I think, Twitter, how he's been using Steps machine to be trying to get lots of hill training in ahead of the Swiss World Championships. But he's always one to watch out for, especially in the Scandinavian terrain. I remember a World Cup a few years ago in Finland where he was completely dominant there. Had really, really great results, and he always performs well in Sweden.
So let's compare them here. Regborn, Johansson and Bergman. You can see that Regborn and Bergman, they went around there. It was actually quite good to go up there, but it might cost a little bit more of energy. But it's the thing, when you find this open rocky fields to run on, then it's of course very fast to go straight. All of them decided to go straight here as well, between 7 and 8. Bergman going right over the hill there. Now I wonder if Bergman will continue, stay below there and go all the way around, because he is going quite much south here.
Yeah, he's one of the few ones we've seen, at least on the production, that haven't crossed over at the bridge on the stream, on the river.
And I mean, from there, I think you can almost go around. It will be very interesting to see if this is paying off. My guess is, I mean, if you look at Johansson, he's almost on top of the hill. My guess is that it's faster to go straight.
Yeah, it's quite a big. It's a decision, I'm sure, that will be playing on people's minds as they're making it. They're going to spend quite a lot of time deciding which way to go there. But I'm quite surprised to see Gustav Bergman actually going round. Of all the people to do it, you'd expect someone like Matthias Kiberts to do that route. I'm sure we'll see him go around a lot of the route choices as well. But Matthias Kiberts seems to have had a pretty good winter, defended his Swiss cross-country title, and we'll see what he's able to do in this Norwegian terrain.
Is struggling a little bit with smaller knee problems at the moment.
But of course, if we remember, he was on crutches in Davos for the last World Cup round of the year last year, because he had, I think, ligament damage. So has he managed to recover from that, as best you know?
He has shown great shape in the early season. Maybe not perfect here, getting a bit too much to the south, but you can see that he's getting closer again. He has shown great shape. The ones listening to the IOF podcast could also hear Gustav Bergman talking about the training with Kiburts, and he was just saying that that's the guy to look for in the summer. He's gonna be in great shape later on this year.
Here's Ruslan Glebov, Ukrainian. You can really see it's managed to track up now as they head down into the 16th control. Looks like pretty good time at this point as well. Pretty comparable to the likes of Lukas Liland, who we know is quickest at the 25th control. We're looking for Emil Svensk. Here he is. And this looks good, I think, for a new leading time. You could see that speed he's managing to carry down that hill, the confidence. And he's just going to go straight up and over this crag. Here there is Glibov, and we watch for Emil Svensk, who we could see was only a few meters behind him. Oh, but maybe it's a little bit closer than I thought.
But I think it could be good enough. See, I think I can hear him.
I think yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
It's got a drop.
Taking the slide there.
Yeah. You've got to have no fear going up and down all of these crags. But 4 seconds in the lead. Emil Svensk is our new leader at this point. And then we look back to the long distance world champion, Kasper Fosser, who took that win in the Czech Republic. He's also got a silver medal from 4 years ago on this very, very similar terrain here in Østfold, here in Norway, which was his first senior races. Really his focus that season was the Junior World Championships, but he absolutely blew everyone away. And now is he the new king of the long distance.
And a bit unexpected, but we see that Fosser is going out there to the second control. Lost the time here, let's say 40 seconds. Right from the start, but then you can see that his speed is very good compared to Kirmula. Svensk having a good time out here. Now interesting, Kirmula is going all the way around. As I said before, I think that's a bit too much. There is a slightly straighter option to choose there.
Look, Katherine there into the finish, but we're looking at Thomas Krivda, who has called up the Frenchman, goes into 8th place then, 5 minutes down on our current leader. So pretty good result there from Krivda, who seems to be getting more and more consistent. So current leader Anton Johansson at the finish.
This is Martin Hopman. The way to the second TV split.
I think we saw him again going round on that route choice to control number 2. But still in good position for well into the top 10 at the moment. So 3 minutes is the gap. Just keeping that pace going, keeping in control.
Another comparison here. Liland, Johansson and Hopman. See Hopman using this small path there, but it's just getting away from the straight line a little bit too much. Interesting if he's gonna go straight here or if he'll go more to the north.
There's Anton Johansson in that leader's chair, and I think we're still waiting to see Lukas Liland into the finish to see whether he's going to be able to challenge that. Those are standing so far. So 92 minutes is that current leading time. Mathieu Perrin, we saw him finishing. That's a great position there for the Frenchman. Ooh, and we can see how wet some of it is there. Here's Mika Kimmeler. And this is really why people want those world ranking points to get the later starts, because just there's pretty much a little path all the way to the control.
Yeah, but we are also on a few shorter controls here. Of course, when you have these longer legs, it's splitting up more and you don't have these tracks. Maybe if you get closer to the controls again, but it's not everywhere as it is here.
No, it's certainly still an advantage though, and Kimmeler gonna go over this ridge, drop into the control. Going to be maybe comparable to Lucas Leland, who's, I think, still leading at control 25. We can hear him, there we go. Slightly offline there, actually.
Talking about Leland, he should be in the finish very soon. Again, the comparison between Svensk and Kirmula, but here is Leland.
He's working really hard. You can see the arena speaker saying it's going to be really tight between him and Johansson, and he's working so hard, but I think the seconds are not going to be on his side. No, they're not. Johansson's lead stays where it is. He looks up at the screen and now it's not going to be quite close enough. Oh, Lucas Leland into second place, a gutting 7 seconds there. Goodness me, ow, that hurts at the end, I think.
Almost see how he slowed down a little bit after having noticed that he won't take the lead from Anton Johansson.
Oh, that's very, very close. Especially, you know, I wonder if he made a mistake there. Let's see if we can see on the last bit, because Leland was ahead by I thought a big enough margin.
I mean, we could see here on this leg to 22 that he was faster than Johansson just physically. Both of them going around to control 26. Maybe a small hesitation there. And then you could see that was a smart move to use this small track there by Johansson. Going both here. Johansson in a little bit earlier. Feels it that he had more energy left up to control 29. Very similar all the way. But in the end, it seemed that Johansson just had the energy on his side.
Yeah, maybe paced it slightly better. Here's Albin Riederfeldt. And loads of Swedish runners packing at those top spots now. Very close to the control. European middle distance champion, second in the middle at Davos. And into third place right now.
I can see Leland getting a little bit away from the straight line there.
That's a mistake from Kimmeler at 11.
This is Elias Kuka. Not fighting for a top 10 today, I guess.
No, he's got a 5 minutes down. But still fighting hard through this semi-open part of this forest. Now maybe heading out towards the track on the edge of the area.
Now we have Kuka in this picture as well, compared to Liland and Johansson. You can see that the gap already here is quite big. Problems to control 23 there with direction out. You've seen quite a few runners doing that.
Timo Sill then into the finish. With Milos Nikodym in the background as well, and it looks like a good run from the Estonian here. Really good one from the Estonian. Been in touch a lot of the way around. So into third place is best long distance is from Home World Championships back in 2017 in Estonia. 10th place for him there. No, that's in terms of the World Championships results. Now Olli Ojanaho, let's see what he's been able to do. But he's already a minute down at this point.
Still a few meters go from here.
Just choosing a few seconds when the running's slightly better to take those very short glances at the map, and it seems to work well. I think he's going to go down this slide. Yep.
It's the Orienteers playground here.
But 6th spot then for Ojanaho. Still a lot of the course still to go.
So interesting. Riedefeld going all the way to the left of this open field there. Lost about 45 seconds compared to Svensk. Svensk had a really good start here.
You can see here Olli Ojanaho takes it very wide.
And then here...
Wow, Olli Ojanaho going really wide.
Yeah, and you can see that Fosser and Riekborn, they really could win time when they went straight over the hill there. I think rounding is really bad. We've seen many runners losing when they run all the way around there. I mean, on the straight route choice around this house. Just running around the corner, not cutting it.
So back with Isaac von Krisenferner. Splashing through this area. Seems to be reasonably in control though. Got to try and keep up the momentum through with all these fallen branches and brashings and bits of heather and bits of bilberry. But very clear exit direction from this control out towards the track at the very edge of the area. It's not very fun to run on the right on the edge of the map because you can't see what is. It's not mapped what is to the left of the track. Basically, I think it's.
But you have to track. Just don't leave the track to the left, and you're fine.
Yeah, you'll be fine.
So a small mistake there by Krusenstjerna at control 22.
Ja, da tror jeg at vi har Timo sitter med oss. Timo, third place. You must have had a good finish of the race today. Because you were a little bit after in the beginning, but at the end you have picked up some time here.
Yeah. They told me that the race would be longer than expected, so I started very slowly and I sped up towards the end.
So those are the standings at split 2. Control number 25, Lucas Leland, still the leader there, but we know he was behind by just 7 seconds at the finish. So Anton Johansson still the leader at the finish. This is where we stand. With still a lot of those fastest runners still to come through. We've not had everybody through control 16 yet. Here's Luca Basse as we catch up with him again on this way to control number 25. Here's the previous control. Seems to be having some good speed through the terrain today. So we can catch up with one of the later starters. Eskil Shinneberg is here, but he's already outside the top 10. You can see he was 3 minutes down by control number 9. Interestingly, not part of the Norwegian team at the World Championships 4 years ago. And I fear there must have been a few either mistakes or route choice mistakes for him here to be, dropping down the positions. So Eskil there into 17th position. So we've got Daniel Hubman, Gustav Bergman, Matthias Kibert and Kasper Fosser, who started behind him.
This is Simon Imark, way to the second TV split. Take a look here. Many of the runners had problems at control 23. He has some struggles at control 22. He was very close there. We've seen that so many times today, that runners have been so close to the control, but then seem to not see it.
Yeah, maybe they were one side or the other of just a small hill and just didn't see it at all. It's tricky stuff. Daniel Hubman, we wouldn't expect him to be quite as strong on this terrain compared maybe to the home Swiss terrain, but this is a pretty decent start for him. He's always technically strong. He really knows how to pace a long distance race as well.
This
and
will be
Martin
very
Nickborn,
interesting.
they're still together.
Yeah, and I think they are fast. That's a fast group here. Now on the way to the second TV split.
Yeah, looks very fast. These two, I'm sure, will be working together. Joey Hadorn is one of the fastest, if not the fastest, on the Swiss team in terms of raw track speed. I know the Swiss team do kind of a track time trial every year as part of their selection races, as part of their selection criteria. But Regborn is looking fantastic here. 2-minute lead after this way round the course. That is very, very impressive.
You can see it here, and of course if you compare them, so we had only 3 minutes behind. That's a good position as well into 4th. Here going straight almost the same way as the other 2 runners. Really found this track there, very nice how he gets these small features just before the control. That looked very, very good for Martin Rekborn here.
Yeah, very, very distinct. You can see him just follow the lines of the crags into those controls. Martin Hubben here just missed him into 4th place. 1 minute 39 down. Looked like he had a pretty good end to the course, I think. A happy face there from Martin Hubben. This was him in towards the finish. Eyes on the line. Working hard all the way around the 90 minutes plus on this course. We'll get the download. So with Martin Hubben just into the finish, a reminder then of how we're looking at the finish line. Anton Johansson still in the lead. Lucas Lina just those 7 seconds back. And we know we've got some fast Swedes particularly coming through. Martin Rekborn leading at control 25. Emil Svensk was leading when he came through control 16. Tippi Sirolainen then into the finish. Anton Johansson staying warm there in the leader's chair. What can the Finn do? He's going to be outside the top 10. So Tippi Sirolainen, the Finn, into 15th place. And this is Gustav Bergman heading down this slope then towards split 1, control number 16.
Lost quite a lot of time.
Wrong, though. Yeah.
He was, I can tell you, he was going straight on this long route. We have seen that, and then he was just rounding the corner there on the way to control 8, and that cost more than a minute. It was not a good option to go around there when you started straight. And
yeah,
waiting for
so much time. We're already looking for Matthias Kibert, who's catching him, I think.
Who actually did exactly the same thing. So also he was running around there.
So 17th place. Not the greatest start for Gustav Bergman. But he's not yet been caught by this man, Matthias Kiberts. You can see then he is going to be 1.5 minutes down, but not quite as big a time loss as Bergman. Looks like maybe Bergman made another mistake.
He did another mistake
at 14.
At control 11. He did quite a big mistake as well, around 1.5 minutes. So it's not only that minute mistake or time loss and the route choice, it's also a technical error in the circle.
But then maybe more of this, so Matthias Kiberts' time being lost on the route choice then.
Right.
So we'll be 5th, just behind the current leader. But there's still stuff that can be done with 1.5 minutes down. There's certainly some opportunities to catch back up some time.
Maybe we can see it now here. If we play the GPS until control 11, then take a look at Gustav Bergman. Not to this one, control 10, but then control 11. This was one of the classic examples for this course today, where the runner was very close, kind of a Kirmula situation there.
Yeah, just stopped a little bit too short of it, looks like. We can trust the accuracy of the GPS. So here's Emil Svensk, and yeah, looking very good here. He's going to overtake his teammates. And actually, yeah, good, strong times the whole way around the course then here for Emil Svensk. Looking very, very promising. Here's our last starter then, Kasper Fosser to split number 1. Control number 16, and you can see on the splits there on the right hand side he is slightly down. We saw him go the long way round to control number 2, which lost him some time initially. He's been fighting back all of that for the rest of the way round the course, but it certainly lost him a significant amount of time that he's been catching up, and he's not going to be in the lead at all to this point. Still in a medal position though.
Good speed, you can see it from control 14 to here. He was able to catch a few seconds again.
It looks like the 2 Swedes, maybe also Ridderfeldt.
So the comparison here. Take a look then at between control 7 and 8 at Kasper Fosser. Because here I think Kiburz and Bergman and Fosser, they're quite equal, but then he's taking this route over the hill there, and that was actually much faster compared to the runners who went all the way south there around. Maybe a little hesitation into control 11. Very good direction here though.
Sticking to that line. Oh, it's very close. It's very comparable between all of them, but at that control 16 with everybody now through, it's Svensk, then Regborn, and then Fosser. We've just seen Emil Svensk go through again to take the lead at control number 25. So advantage to Sweden at the moment as we wait in the finish for Elias Kukka. See him, there he is. Having cut through that semi-open area. And on to this racetrack. He's going to be outside the top 10. It's about a 1 kilometre circuit of this racetrack, just situated in the middle of the forest here. What a great place for doing some karting, and it provides a backdrop for the finish here. We'll be in this arena for all of the competitions, but for Elias Kukka, goes just slower than his teammate, still in that top 20 though as well. Florian Hovald towards the finish too. Looks like he'll be slightly quicker than the Finn, and just into that top 10. Always has his head down, working hard towards the line, and it will be that 10th spot then for the Swiss athlete. He should be fairly pleased with that.
10th place for Hovald. A little less than 4 minutes behind, but Kiburz is coming here.
So here the comparison between Hovald and Johansson. See if he struggled anything with control 22 or 23. No, looked good here. Quite okay, maybe a bit low to control 27, but I mean, we're talking a few seconds there only. Maybe not the best direction to control 28, but otherwise it looked very good here for Florian Hovald.
Okay, everyone's been through split 1 then. Just a roundup of how things stand at the moment. Well, the Swedish team coaches will be happy. 4 Swedes in that top 5 at that point, with Emil Svensk taking the lead. Mika Kirmila here then, split 2s, control number 25, where again we have that lead of Emil Svensk, Martin Hubman into second. This is the control before that one. So I think that's just coming out of, just coming out of control 28. Luca Basset, just outside that top 10. Looking for Simon Imark, the next one, nearly catching up the Frenchman.
Yeah, still a very good performance by Simon Imark. I mean, he had a good World Cup final last year, was finished 5th there at the long distance. Now up there again, fighting for a top 10 position here.
Martin Regborn as well. And Joey Hadorn. So catching, and that is a big gap now. Over 3 minutes, that's incredible.
Hadorn into second position here. Because, yeah, as you mentioned, the gap is over 3 minutes, so Hadorn makes it into the gap there between the first and third position.
Yeah, really strong working the team there, but we've always seen Regborn in front whenever we've seen the two of them go through any of our camera controls, but certainly working together really, really well. But we are looking to see Emil Svensk. Emil Svensk was the leader at control 25, still looking to be ahead there.
A little bit shaky into 27, but still managed to get it good.
And the strength in depth of the Swedish men's team. I can remember, not too many years ago when I think only one of the Swedish men qualified for the middle distance final, and it seems like there's been a significant improvement in the depth of particularly that men's team since then. And, we've just got Swedish men's runners all the time, and here's another one. Here's Isaac von Krusenfuerne. Maybe hasn't had the best day, though, for him. And he is going to be outside the top 10 at this point. But to be honest, from a bit of a tricky season last season, he should be pretty happy with that and taking the what maybe could be a top 20 in terms of in the forest. Former sprint world champion. Bit of a shock result in the Czech Republic a couple of years ago to take that win. And Albin Rudefelt is the next one through towards control number 25. But you can see from his splits, though. Look at the. Maybe it's the way. No, he's just dropping time. I think on that last end. I thought there was maybe going to be some quicker runners had got to earlier points, but no. I think it's just that he must have lost some time.
But we have
last
seen
few controls.
We've seen many runners having problems at control 22 and 23, so maybe a small mistake there. Sure, we will get to see it if that was the case.
So now in towards the finish. This must be Luca Basset, maybe, and then we've got a big stream of other people chasing as well. We should have Simon Immark, then Martin Regborn and Joey Hadorn very, very soon in towards the finish. Here they are, yep, a long line of people, but here's going to be the new leader. Martin Regborn has had a fantastic race here. This is a really, really good one. It's only the likes of Emil Svensk challenging him at the moment, and he's managed to push away more than 3 minutes ahead of everybody else, and he has dragged Joey Hadorn around with him. But Martin Regborn, look at that face of focus. He's just keeping his eyes on the line and going all the way towards the finish. What a fantastic performance by Martin Regborn today. He should be really, really pleased with that, because he did a fantastic job there, and is our new leader. Joey Hadorn into second. We know he's got the very, very fast legs, and I'm sure the two of them will have pushed each other on, a very, very quick moving group. But Martin Regborn caught Joey Hadorn up in the first place by those 3 minutes, and he is, the new leader. Incredible stuff.
And the first test for the time of Regborn we will have very soon, when Emil Svensk is approaching the last controls. But first, small recap here. You can see
this is not synchronized. This is how we see Regborn catching all of the others, I think.
Exactly. I mean, he was not really able to catch Immark. Yeah, it's quite an okay option to go down there, but they close. He was so close in the end, but didn't really make it.
Yeah, confirmation of those standings. Ultimately, Martin Regborn going 4 minutes ahead of Anton Johansson. Such a good speed, I think, all the way around that course. Really incredible stuff from him. And you know, it's going to be, if he had such a strong finishing speed, it's going to be really interesting to see how that matches up with Emil Svensk. Okay, here's Olli Ojanho on his way to the 25th control. It's been up and down with the splits, you can see there on the right hand side of the screen. Losing and gaining different amounts of time. So maybe a strong speed, but making a few mistakes out there in the terrain.
And here is Emil Svensk on this control 28. Oh, this is going to be so tight. He lost a little bit of time here from control 25, so now it's only 13 seconds between Svensk and Regborn.
Running with Ruslan Glebov as well. Oh, this is going to be very, very tight. And Martin Regborn had such a steely look in his eye. It was so fast at the end. But Emil Svensk has the potential, has the capability of going as quick.
So let's see here, because here it's about half a minute. Then we had this small, we had seen that before, the small hesitation of Emil Svensk into the 27th control. So maybe that was the place where he lost a little bit of time compared to Regborn.
Let's get a comparison then with more runners added in.
So here we also have Kiburt, Riedefeld, Fosser. Keep an eye on control 20 then. You have two different options. You can go to the right just from the control, or you can fight through the green as Regborn was doing. I think Fosser did a very good option there, Riedefeld as well. And if you compare it to Kiburt, he lost about 20-25 seconds
Regborn,
there.
though, at 21, I think. Not very direct to 21.
Small direction mistake. But I mean, there we are talking a few seconds.
And maybe also Kiburt. In the finish, Regborn leads from Joey Hadorn. Anton Johansson is third.
So we're live with Kasper Fosser now. He was the last starter. So still, you know, we know how quick he can be. Still the opportunity to put some damage in there, as we know, you know, Svensk has lost that lead that he had at that point in the course. So possible for him to match with Regborn, and very, very soon I'm sure we will see Emil Svensk at the finish. We'd seen him through control 28, just got to climb up to 29 and see the 30 as well.
Yeah.
So we've had a pre-warning of him then at the finish, I'm sure. Here he is.
Yeah.
And maybe he can hear the arena speaker as well. The arena commentator is going to be really kind of counting him down. I try not to do that too much when I'm an arena commentator, but it's so close between these two runners. You can see him splashing through the marshes there on his way up to the final control to this racetrack here. And this is going to be an exciting finish here between Emil Svensk and Martin Regborn. Not sure what the gap is going to be at all as we follow him on the drone. Here he is, just coming around the corner. Yeah, I think it will just about be enough. There's so many cheers. You can hear them cheering on Emil Svensk here right at the finish. And it will, I think, be just about enough for Emil Svensk to take this new leading time. He's working hard. You can see he's grimacing here. But it will be enough then for Emil Svensk to take the lead. So 6 seconds the gap. And he is straight on the floor then. Absolutely gave it everything towards that line. 6 seconds between the two leading runners, and they look pretty good for a podium position. I am pretty sure, with the likes of Gustav Bergman making mistakes, Matthias Kibberts making route choice mistakes. We've got Kasper Fosser, I think the only one who could really challenge for that win.
And I mean, we have seen him so many times very close to have a very good result in long distance, but then at one control he always had problems. I remember the World Championships 2019, he had a very good race and then he missed one control. It was the same at the World Championships in Czech Republic, where he basically messed up the whole first part of the course and then was the fastest one on the second half. And today it feels like he got everything together. There were no bigger mistakes, no bigger struggles, and then you can see his potential where where he ends up when he doesn't do any bigger mistakes.
Yeah, absolutely. When you can put a whole race together, it's getting that elusive race that's as error-free as you can possibly make it. It's so hard to do that. You know, every orienteer, whatever level you're at, will be going through the splits. Oh, if I hadn't made that 2-minute mistake, then I'd have been here. That's not how it works at all. But Isaac von Krusenfrener looks like he was disqualified, and I think we're going to be able to chat to Martin Regborn then here. I'm not sure if he can hear me, but if he can hear me, then Martin, it looked like a fantastic run for you, a new leading time when you finished. Congratulations. Did it feel like it was quick for you out there in the terrain?
Thank you. Yeah, I felt really strong, and then I came into the arena passage and heard I had a big lead, so it gave much confidence on the last loop, and I felt strong the whole way.
Yeah, you caught up Joey Haddon. That must have given you some good feedback, I think, when you were there. What was it like running with him for a lot of the course?
Well, I was in front most of the time, so I didn't think of it so much. I just focused on my own orienteering.
And does this give you a lot of confidence for the next couple of races and into the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm 100% focused on the walk long distance this summer, as I have a free spot. So, this gives really much confidence that the training is going well and I'm doing it right.
Congratulations, Martin. The fastest time when you finished, and now into second place, and good luck for the rest of the season.
Thank you.
Okay, Martin Regborn there into now second fastest time, just over taken by 6 seconds. Interesting to hear he, trying not to think too much about running with Joey Haddon there.
Also interesting. I mean, he has his free spot as a European champion and can focus all the way for this long distance. And of course, it has been a lot of discussions about this long distance in Sweden, because it's a long time ago a Swedish man has won this long distance race at the World Championship. So it's, yeah, from their point of view, of course, it's time to change that. And here we had a small mistake. Daniel Hoopman at control 23.
Do you think this is the best, the best chance that they've got in the last, I guess, 5 to 10 years that the Swedish men have got to take that long distance title?
Good question. I mean, it's definitely, they always had good runners at the top, but now they have so many good runners. It's a bit unlucky for them that you can't send the World Cup team to the World Championship, so you have to. But now in this case, I mean, if they have the World Cup leader, if they have the European champion, they get extra spots. So maybe they have quite a few runners there. But yeah, it's a good chance for them. I think it would be better.
One of them getting it right on the day.
Yeah, but I think it would be better for them definitely if the race would have been in Norway or in Sweden. Now it's quite. I mean, it's tricky. It's technical terrain in Switzerland, but it's steep and it's in quite high altitude. I mean, yeah, high altitude, but it's higher than here. Definitely, might not be so used to that. It's so hard to say, and especially in the men's class, everyone is focusing on these World Championships, and then you have so many runners who can perform well. But I mean, just by pure chance, it's very unlikely. It has been very unlikely that they never won it during the last 20 years or whatever. So it's about time that this will change. But we will see if it's this year or another year.
Well, yeah, we had some dominance of a certain couple of Norwegians, Olaf Lundenes being the main one, but when it gets to that more continental terrain, very Swiss terrain, it does open the doors for some of those other nations as well, particularly, of course, the Swiss.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not very Swiss terrain, and just to remind you, when we had this Norwegian dominance, Olaf Lundenes won maybe the most continental long distance race ever in 2012 as well. So it's not really about where it was. It's just that we had so strong runners in the past, especially in the long distance.
Matthias Kibetz, he's after that mistake on the route choice, to be honest, he's staying pretty level with the leaders. So
yeah, he was kind of able to win back a bit of time, but then every now and then he has this throwback between 19 and 20. I'm sure he lost about 15-20 seconds again. He would definitely have the speed to be up there, but he didn't execute it as good as Svensk and Rekborn so far. But it will be interesting to see, because he is very close to Gustav Bergman now. He has been for a while. If they get together, might change the situation a little bit, but it's still, I mean, the gap is still 1.5 minutes, and we didn't see the others do mistake.
Yeah, well, we've got Emil Svensk on the line now. He's just come in to set a new leading time by 6 seconds. Congratulations, Emil. You must be so pleased with that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really fun for me.
What was your race like? Describe how it felt out there.
Yeah, it was a really tough race. The terrain was tough, and not so much route choices on the long leg base. But I tried to pick the best one and fight hard.
Well, what did it feel like? It was fast? Did you feel like that was maybe a leading or even a winning race?
Not really, but the technical performance for me was really good. But yeah, the legs was not the best one, but yeah, of course it was good. But yeah, I need to push really hard in the end.
Yeah, we could tell you could evidently hear the arena speaker counting you down the seconds, and you really fought really hard at the end. We've just been discussing, is this, the state of Swedish men's orienteering at the moment? You've got so many guys up at the top. Is this the year to take a win at the World Champs long distance, do you think?
Yeah, I hope so. The Swedes are really good at the moment, but we have a little bit defense on the long distance the years before, but I think this year will be a great year for us.
Well, congratulations today. Thanks, Emil. Okay, Emil Svensk there. He's saying, interesting, he says, I think it reflected what you just said, Jonas. They're thinking about the defensive. There's a lot of chat about the title for the men's long distance there, as he kind of hinted at, I think.
And it's good that you put some more pressure on it, but just highlighting it again and again.
It's my job to talk about these points and highlight. I get, lots of people will be asking that question, but the Swedish runners certainly performing very, very well here, with Emil Svensk that 6-second lead and going under that estimated winning time as well. I think the organisers even thought with the wet conditions it would be slower than the estimated winning time of 90 minutes. So proving them wrong. These two Swedish runners here as well. Janaho there into 7th place. And after him, we've just got 5 more runners to come through. This looks like Albin Riedefeld in towards the finish. It is indeed. Picking his way across. You can see they're being followed by our running cameras. And we'll pick him up on this gorgeous drone shot here as we head towards the racetrack where we have our arena. Ooh, and big time loss there now towards the end. Just dropping time between controls 25 and 28.
Had quite a big time loss there after control 18 as well.
Picking his way through this bit, and it does kind of show you what a lot of these felled areas are like on this type of terrain, how you have to pick your way through the fallen branches and all the root stocks and everything to you can see the running speed can really be reduced, and it's quite a long way to pick through this terrain to get towards the finish, but it's nearly within sight. Go through the marsh. And this could well be another Swede in towards the top 10. And you can hear the teammates' cheers now as he goes round the fence. Attacking all the way to the finish, and we've only got 6 runners yet to come. I think we're the only one able, there's maybe 2 who are able to challenge the podium, and they're the 2 last starters, Matthias Kibert and Kasper Fosser. So we will really keep an eye out for both of them. They think they're the only ones who are really going to be able to challenge Svensk and Regborn.
Now
you can see him drop down to the bottom.
Yeah, we can compare Ojenau and Riedefeld on this one. See,
but you have
tough
such a climb
there.
Then up to the control.
Yeah. You can see that he loses about half a minute.
Yeah. The speed that you gain from going on the path is just completely negated when you've got to do all that climb up to the control as well. Oh, Ojenau going going the Simona Abersold route into the last control, and it looks like it will be a top 10 finish for Olli Ojenau again. really getting the cheers there in towards the finish line here on this racetrack. Getting lots of support, and again continuing to get more consistent performances from Orienteering, especially on that long distance. I feel like get the right terrain, he could really contend with the top runners. Let's go Shinnebury in as well. 5 minutes down, just outside the top 10.
Shinnebury compared to Emil Svensk, going straight there, but you can see that the gap already here is quite big going around there. We have seen that before. I think it was Martin Hoopman who did something similar going up here, but I mean there's no, I mean you can't really complain about the technical execution here when it comes to just the work within the circle.
No, pretty decent there, and now that climb up to control 26 and towards the finish as well. Behind him, Daniel Hubman, Gustav Bergman, the next two who we expect to see around about control number 28. So we're live now with Kasper Fosser.
Exactly. So he is heading down. He's quite close to the others now. If we look a little bit to the earlier splits, he was half a minute behind.
But we saw with Albin Wiedefeld, it wasn't maybe this route wasn't maybe the best one.
No. So I think it's going to be interesting to follow. But it could be a good thing for the two Swedish runners there.
Yeah, it really could. That is not an easy. It's a fairly easy route choice to do, but it's just having that uphill speed, and it's going to be very tough.
Yeah, I mean,
that's Gushenberg though on the last bit. Sorry.
I mean, the route itself, if you go straight, it's kind of easy because there is no risk that you lose direction, because on your left it will always be the slope. You have this middle section, like distance-wise, you get help in the middle with this a smaller valley that you have to cross, where you can follow a small track for a few meters. So it's basically the last meters when you fall down to the control that are the difficulty to this 28th control. And of course, if you come from below, this is easier, but you don't have to climb if you go straight. It's quite open forest. You even get a track in the middle. I think it's a good option to go just straight there.
So Eskilstuna, not quite maybe the pace of the leaders here today.
But you can also see here he lost a lot of time in the beginning. He had he was already 3 minutes behind at the 9th control, and from there he loses 2 more minutes. I mean, he has quite a good speed, but there must have been some problems in the beginning.
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a lot of runners close together here. So I think Shinnebury will tumble down the leaderboard on this very last section. You can see there's a lot of scratches, and you can see we've seen a lot of runners come back with the scratches and blood on their arms and faces and things like that. It's been a rough old forest out there today. But he will just about go into 9th spots. So top 10 at the moment for the Norwegian on the home soil. And we have got 4 runners still to come. And I think we could see, even actually at the last split, that Matthias Kiberts was catching Gustav Bowman. We could see him when we saw Matthias through the control. You could see Gustav Bowman just ahead. But let's catch up with Fosser then on this route choice.
And you can see that Fosser really started almost exactly at the same time as Rekborn. And of course, at this point, he has to be ahead, because then he has to do the climbing in the very end. This is Bergman.
Yep, here he is at control 28, still in the top 10. And here's Kiberts, yep.
No, this is
no, it's Daniel Hubman. Yes, you're right.
I can tell you that Kiberts did a mistake at control 26, so he lost. He was almost in contact with Bergman, but then lost contact there, and then he took the other route. He's down on the Fosser route choice, so he should be there quite soon at the control. But this is going to be tight.
It's going to be, you know, people will be watching the GPS tracking at home, and they're going to be watching him just crawl up this hill and comparing it to the leaders, I think.
The thing is also that we know that Svensk lost a little bit of time compared to Rekborn, so it will make it even a bit closer there.
But Matthias Kiberts has just come up that hill, and that's the direction we'll expect to see Kasper Fosser coming from very, very shortly. We had that mistake at control 26.
And you can, the thing is, you can't really see it at the splits there, but he has done a few mistakes every now and then, so it seems to be quite a smooth developing, like, time loss. But he actually lost time every now and then, otherwise he would have been quite quick today.
Gustav Bergman climbing up here. You can see Daniel Hubman just to the right of the picture on this drone shot here as he climbs his way up onto the semi-open area.
And I think we will see Fosser soon to the 28th control as well.
Here he is.
This is going to be so tight. We also know that 9 seconds. We also know that Svensk lost 7 of those 13 seconds compared to Rekborn, so it's very, very tight here.
It's all to play for here. Oh my goodness me. This is going to be very, very close. And if we, look back on the tracking, remember Fosser kind of was on the back foot right from the start when he went out to do the wide out to the road on his way to control number 2. But look at that, it's so close between all of them. Wow, this is really going to be tight.
The thing is that we know that Rekborn did a very good job here in the end. He had good speed and he didn't really make it all the way, so Fosser has to really do something special here in order to take this victory today.
Yeah, it's how much power you've got left in those legs to come up here, and you can see Kasper Fosser is working really hard. Followed his map up nice and small, just looking to check all of those details, and it's quite a, it's a long but not too steep climb up towards these last few controls. Here's Gustav Bergman.
You were talking about the speaker, like telling the runners about the time differences. It will be the same here.
I think he can hear it from here. I think he can hear it. He can hear, even if he can't hear the words, he will be able to hear the tone and the enthusiasm or whatever is happening from the arena speaker. Definitely. Let's follow Gustav Bergman though in towards the finish. Can he still get a top 6 spot? Working really, really hard here. Looking up at the big screen as well. We've seen him do that. He's just given that last final push, last final bit of motivation into 5th then.
Basically everything I talked about or said about Matthias Kiberts it's exactly the same for Gustav Bergman. He had good speed, but he had many throwbacks throughout the course. He did a big mistakes at control 11. He had a big time loss on the route to control 8, so he could have been up there as well today.
Wow, there are seconds in it. The GPS tracking says it's 3 seconds that this man, Kasper Fosser, is behind our current leader, Sweden's Emil Svensk. But will this Norwegian spoil the Swedish party? Oh, if anyone can do it, it can be this man, Kasper Fosser. Will he have timed it to perfection? Here's the current leader, Emil Svensk, just not looking, though, as Matthias Kiberts Some mistakes for him come through to the finish. Could it be the podium spot at the moment for Matthias Kiberts, who has fought his way through some mistakes on the course today as the rain falls down on this finish line. He is going to go into third place, but it will be a short-lived third for Matthias Kiberts. I think hopefully he'll be happy with that, knowing the mistakes. But here he is, here's the Norwegian. And the arena speaker's going to get very, very excited because there's only a matter of seconds in it. So 25 seconds, I think it looks good for Fosser. He has fought so hard coming up this hill on these last few controls. And I think this is going to be enough for Kasper Fosser to take the win. It is so close. There's been seconds between these top three guys all the way around the course. He's fighting all the way to the line, and it comes just about soon enough for Kasper Fosser. 3 seconds. He pulled up, like 14 seconds just on that hill climb at the end. The man is a machine. He was on the back foot after that route choice to 2, and he has fought his way the whole way back around this race. And what a thrilling finale to this long distance race. Emil Svensk has been beaten by a matter of 3 seconds, and that is a face of a very happy and maybe relieved man.
And you know, we had a running time of 88 minutes, and we have 3 runners within 10 seconds finishing this race. But as you said, I mean, if the race would have been finished at the second last control, he would not have won this race. So it was just about long enough for him to win back the time he lost in the very beginning.
Yeah, it's just come at the finish line came just at the right time for him. Yeah, incredible stuff.
But I mean, looking at this race today, the feet, it's actually snowing now. When you look at when you look at the race today, I mean, you can see that there's so many runners who are able to fight up there. I mean, we had the 3 on the podium within 10 seconds. Then you also have Matthias Kiberts, who did a good job, had some struggles on the way, but the speed was definitely there. Joey Hadon had the speed, definitely, maybe not the technique, but I mean, he was together with Rekwan throughout a big part of the course. Gustav Bergman had the speed, but it was kind of a similar race compared to Matthias Kiberts. So I think this has the potential to become a very exciting season for us to follow.
Yeah, it really does. We're used to seeing a lot of men vying for contention, but not quite, those margins necessarily, and especially on a long distance. Really thrilling. But ultimately, the king of the long distance world champion, wins once again, last year's overall World Cup winner by one of the smallest of margins. This is how he did it. Watch particularly out for his route from 1 to 2, because then he manages having to claw it back from there.
For me, this is one of the biggest surprises of the day, that Kasper Fosser is going out there, because in my opinion, it's quite tempting to go straight, and of course it's always nice to have a road in the beginning, but here the distance you can spend on it just seemed to be too short. But of course it's easy to sit here and say that. See Hadon, he lost time in the beginning. You can see why. He was just rounding a bit much there to control 6. Svensk had quite a solid lead here in the beginning. Here I think Fosser did a good thing, just climbing straight over it. You can see that Svensk loses quite a bit of time here when he went all the way around. Same for Kiberts, the same for Bergman, by the way. And you can see that he lost almost the whole margin he had at control 7. This is the control where Fosser had a little bit of struggle there, but not as big as Gustav Bergman. Control 11. You can see basically all the time they're on the same route, but then there's some micro route choices here. Svensk and Kiberts, they climb a bit more up there, take the power line to get to the control. And now look at here I had the feeling that Kibbutz might be able to kind of get back or get a bit closer again, but look at this here at control 19, kind of get stuck when he left it, losing time to 20. Then I think that he performed this one quite well, but I mean the others did as well, so you can see that Svensk, he lost his lead towards control 8 or the margin, but then he was able to build up a new one here, and it feels that here Fosser really turned up the speed. Look at Kibbutz now to control 26. Just a small mistake when he got that too much up there, otherwise I think he would get together with Gustav Bergman. And then Fosser and Kibbutz actually going around, and I think for Fosser it was a good option. At least he didn't lose time. I mean, I think it was almost exactly the same, because Rickborn and Fosser started at the same time at control 27 and they got together again at 28. But it just felt that he had a bit more energy left for the 29th and the 30th control.
Yeah, incredible stuff. He just, you know, he made that route choice to 28 just kind of work for him, to be honest. And I always get the feeling Kasper Fosser goes through a winter with some questions. He always seems to turn up with a bit of a complaint about some sort of an injury or a niggle. He was complaining of a groin injury, something like that. And he needs the first race of the season to reassure himself that actually, yes, he did have not a terrible winter. He did have a good winter. He's still got that race pace. He still knows how to orienteer, and that he needs that so much as a confidence builder, and he's so relieved when he realizes it has actually gone okay. Let's hear from him now. I'm sure we'll be able to hear a little bit about that as he...
Kasper, just getting dressed. Congratulations on your victory. Just 3 seconds win after almost 90 minutes in the forest. How's that?
It's crazy. Sometimes you have the margins on your side, and today was my turn, so I'm extremely happy. It's and only 9 seconds back to third place as well. It's crazy that you have such a close race after a long distance.
And how was your race? How did it go in the forest?
I'm extremely satisfied with my race. I think I had a really good technical performance. I'm a bit unsure about some long legs. It will be exciting to watch the analysis later, but I think I did a really good technical race, and that's what I had to do today.
And I think we heard some about you had some small injury troubles. Did you feel anything to that today?
Yeah, so I've had some struggles, both physically and with a groin injury the last weeks. It's been quite some tricky last days. Like first, like 1 week ago, I wasn't even sure if I could start the race, but it's been slowly getting a bit better every day. And today was exactly so good that I don't think it mattered to me in the forest at all. I could hardly feel anything of the injury. So lucky there as well that I again had the margins on my side, and the injury got good enough for today.
And it's the first big international race in Norway for years. What does it mean, you coming with the Norwegian flag on your jersey and winning today on home soil?
It's extremely fun. 4 years ago I got the second place, so now I took one step up. It's always special to do a good race on home soil. I have such good memories from 2019, and I'll have great memories from this World Cup weekend as well.
And there's a middle distance in 2 days. You had, just as we mentioned, 3 seconds down to Emil Svensk, a few seconds more down to Martin Rickborn. What do you expect from Saturday's middle distance?
It will be a bit more tricky for sure. I think it's a type of terrain that really demands perfect orienteering. It's easy to lose 10-15 seconds without really doing much wrong on quite short legs. So I have to really look for those nice areas of runnability in the forest, and really hold on to my map and compass.
And are you the favorite on Saturday?
Yes.
That's good to hear. Good luck and congratulations.
Thank you.
I love that he said he was the favourite. I love that question as well. I mean, the man lives off confidence, right?
I would have liked to hear him to explain why he wouldn't be the favourite. That would have been interesting to hear, actually.
But interesting, he said everything just kind of came together on the day.
Yeah, definitely. But I mean, I wonder if he will feel the same when he will see his time lost to the second control. I mean, now he has the feeling that everything went smooth and that he maybe did good decisions all the way and that it was very tight in the end. But he lost time there for sure. He could have been 1 minute faster on this one.
But it is so hard to know when you're in the terrain whether that route choice was a good one or not. You have
definitely.
There's no way of telling, really.
No, and of course, if you see other runners, of course you can tell, but especially in the beginning, with a 3 minute starting interval, you don't see anyone if you're 1 minute faster or if you're 1 minute slower. But I mean, this race was special because no one really did a mistake. I mean, if you ask Emil Svensk, he says he had a good race, of course, but he had some smaller time loss. It's impossible to get through without time losses. That's just, you can just forget that. But it's special in Fosser's case because he had such a good race despite this second control. It's the only part where he basically lost time.
Yeah, everything else, all those kind of points in the circle, he was spiking a lot of the controls, not too far left or too far right. And
I mean, of course, you can lose 5 seconds at the control, but that's not. And you can lose 5 seconds at the control 3 times in a row. And then you're up on 15 seconds. But it was such a strong performance after this and coming back, and it's actually the same for all of them. So that's maybe the biggest thing for today. We have seen many long distance where we had many good runners, many good performances, but today we had 3 runners who kind of deserved the victory.
Yeah, they were all outstanding in terms of the accuracy, the speed through the terrain, everything. Just a real treat to watch. And really, actually, 2 races that, we always talk about the men's races tending to be closer than the women's races, but 2 races that are closer than what we thought they might have been, especially for a long distance. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, it is special to have 3 runners within 10 seconds. And, of course, 1 minute ahead, Tove won by 1 minute over Sara Hagström. That's a close race as well, but it's still 1 minute. If you lose 10 seconds, you can lose 10 seconds almost at every control, and then you would be not the winner but the bronze medalist. I mean, that's a big difference, and it has been a very close race in the men's class today.
Will Emil Svensk and Martin Regborn be looking back through their splits and going, oh, where was that 6 seconds, those 14 seconds, 9 seconds?
I don't think so, because when they look at the race, they also see that Kasper Fosser lost almost a minute to the second control, and I think they will realize, okay, it was the same for everyone today, and we had the same speed. It could have been Regborn who won, it could have been Svensk who won, but it was Fosser in the end. So I think they all have the feeling that they did a good race, and in the end, every one of them could have won this.
Yeah, they absolutely could have done. So we're going to have the flower ceremony now. And gosh, the 9 seconds between these 3 men, incredible stuff there. But the man with the biggest smile is Kasper Fosser. Oh, of course. I mean, we heard from Martin Regborn, he was very happy with his run when he finished. He, gained a lot of confidence with that. Although, of course, looking to the world champs the most. And he that look in his eyes when he was on the run-in was just something I'm not going to forget, I think. And Emil Svensk going so just ahead of his teammate, backing up another great long-distance performance after his win at the European Championships. It's going to give him, I know, a lot of confidence going into the rest of the season. But he is the king of the long distance, finishing in the snow today in Norway. What crazy weather we've been having in Norway. But just the complete performance, despite losing a minute on the route choice. He, I think, is just so relieved with that performance, relieved that everything came together, the physical side, the navigational side, the mental side as well, which we don't talk enough about. And this will give him so much confidence. He knows, he thinks he's the favourite for that middle distance. I think he's more of a favourite in the long distance than the middle distance for me personally. But it's just, what is he meant to say to that question? He's riding high on the emotions right now, and we can't wait to see all of these three guys back again in a couple of days' time to see what he can do on the middle distance. Similar area, it's the same, going to be the same arena as well. So they will rest up over the next day, do a lot of analysis, I'm sure, of the routes to see what might work well for the middle distance, as well as we take a look over this racetrack where we've had the finish. We'll be back here in 2 days for the middle distance race. And it's going to be hopefully another couple of sets of exciting races to watch, I think. Who are we looking for? The same favourites then for the middle distance races? Anyone else you want to throw into contention, Jonas?
Well, I can give you the fast answer. I think we will have the same favourites also on Saturday. I mean, Fosser, he named it himself that he is the favourite for Saturday. Maybe in the middle distance there are more runners who can be up there. It's not as challenging physically as a long distance. In the women's race, I would also say it's about the same names. It's definitely Sara Hagström and it's definitely Tove Alexandersson who are the big favorites for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you so much for sticking with us for this long distance race here in Østfold in Norway. We will be back then in another couple of days, ready for the middle distance.
See you then.
Og så ble jeg litt overrasket da når du dro ned dalen der på slutten.